Hmm. Okay. Well, we're all set up. I'm just gonna have to wait until some people show up. Yeah, it's all set up. I wonder if it sent out a thing to everyone. Hey, Lolis Bacon. Do you know if you got like a notification telling you that I'm gonna stream? Could you let me know if you got that? That would be nice. For anyone just coming in, welcome. I'm just waiting until everyone is here or a decent amount of people are here before we get started. For now, I'm gonna pull up the playlist. Today we're gonna watch a video by Degenerosity. It was one of the most popular hate videos against Rent a Girlfriend. Hello, Red Bu. I'm not sure how to say. I'm just gonna call you Red. I'm just gonna call you Red. Hello, Red. Welcome. Okay, playlist. What's my latency like? My latency should be low. Oh no, you don't. You don't get to just play whenever you're so damn well pleased. No, 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 no. We're gonna find the right video. There it is. We're gonna pause it. And we're gonna start when it's time to start. Hello. Okay, we got 4 viewers so far. Oh my god. Hello, Johnny. You wrote me a big thing. Wow. Uh, I gotta find a way to like set up chat in the actual thingamajig so you guys can see what chat is like saying. I don't know how to do that on YouTube. I think there's a way to do it on stream, but I don't know how to do that on YouTube. People have the misconception that Kazuya being horny is apparently weird. The definition of weird is something that's unusual, despite most teenagers being just like Kazuya. It's not so much him being horny that's interpreted as weird. It's more so the stigma around it. You're kind of highlighting the issue. I don't get why Rent a Girlfriend gets some hate. Oh, we're gonna talk a lot about that. There is a lot of layers to this issue. It is not simple. It is not a simple issue by any means, but it is an interesting one to discuss all the same, and which is why we're doing this watch along. We're gonna watch again here. Let me pull it up. Let me show you this. I talked about this last 2 streams ago. Um, maybe I should move myself. Oh wait, that's Chizuru. Chizuru, no. Move myself here so you can see it. So this video is called Rent a Girlfriend Manga is Terrible Garbage. And this was one of the most popular hate videos that came out at the time. It has 3.6 million views. It's made by a channel called Degenerosity. And I remember watching this video and feeling pretty frustrated because it just felt like their complaint is that they didn't get it or they saw patterns. And they even admit, like at a certain point, like for example, this video was recorded before we kind of understood what mommy was doing, in Paradise. And a huge portion of there's a huge chunk of the video. I think it's like 20% of the video where he's literally like, I don't get why mommy's doing what she's doing. And it's like, yeah, that's the point. You're not supposed to know. Anyways, I've been debating and changing people's perceptions over to girlfriend. Do you think what I'm doing is necessarily weird? No, no, that's fine. Do it your own. Do it how you want to do it. I personally like I when I go on Reddit and people have misconceptions on things, like I try to correct them. I go out of my way to correct people when they have misconceptions on things. Um, they find the series too painful for them to bear. That's one part of it. Cringe, the cringe culture. Rent a Girlfriend kind of came out around like the slow buildup of the idea of cringe. And then when cringe culture like hit what it hit right now, where it's like cringe is just a really bad thing. People often joke about stuff being cringe and stuff like that. Rent a Girlfriend definitely started to go downhill for a lot of people because it just completely commits to that awkwardness and doesn't really care. A huge hangup of the series, haters' perception, is the slow pacing. That's just a part of it. That's not the whole argument. At first, it did get to me, but I slowly realized what Reiji was doing, and I enjoyed it even more when I saw other romance anime. Yes, there is an argument you'll often hear with Rent a Girlfriend, and it's that, oh, a manga should not be this long if it's a romance manga. But then people probably told Oda the same thing when he was writing his adventure story. It shouldn't be this long. A lot of people complain about like One Piece being like literally thousands of chapters long, but honestly, that's just gatekeeping and barrier creating for just the idea that like, oh, something shouldn't be this long. But then they'll tell you, oh, but I want more of the characters after they get together and stuff like that. So the writer Reiji is essentially saying, well, I'm just gonna write what I want. Screw what you think, pretty much. And it's just people like inserting their own perceptions of what they think should happen. Um, has anyone tried to defend Rent a Girlfriend anime or manga? Read? Uh, people. I've seen videos trying. They didn't do a very good job. Um, I'm just telling you right now. Like, and if you're talking about like big creators, they don't engage with the manga honestly, and they can't look past that, so they'll never actually defend it in a meaningful way, in my opinion. Do you agree that Sumi or Yuromori look up to Kazuya? Yeah, that's okay. Minnie straight up says it. Minnie straight up, she calls him master, and then Sumi is like inspired by Kazuya, or at least what she thinks Kazuya is doing, and so she tries harder. So yes, that's you don't need me to agree. It's literally a fact. We need Rent a Girlfriend for its slow. We need Rent a Girlfriend for its slow pace. Every romance manga can't be quick work. Yeah, like you'll see, like here, like I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of Dress Up Darling, but I bet even Dress Up Darling fans are kind of like a little disappointed with the ending. Like it's not particular, like it's not an amazing ending or anything, but it's kind of sad that it just kind of ends when they get together. Spoilers, they get together. Spoilers, and it just kind of ends. Sumi's almost the female Kazuya. The female Kazuya is Chizuru, which might sound insane because she's so stoic and cool, but no, the female Kazuya is Chizuru. Um, okay, I guess it's almost about time for us to start. So I will start this video shortly. I wish Rent a Girlfriend gets a good ending. Rent a Girlfriend's getting a good ending. Like Reishi's already hinted that the ending is going to be good. So I don't know where y'all are getting these ideas. Okay, um, let's just start. Let's just start. I think I've waited enough. I've waited a good 7 minutes. I think that's enough people have showed up. I'm looking these more frequent live stream. I'm liking these more frequent live streams. Thanks. I'm trying to stream at least twice a week. One for the chapter drop and one for after the chapter. And then if I do want to do a third stream, like it'll be for certain reasons. Hello, Gyro. I'm looking. I don't know, but I kind of saw many as being on the on the autistic spectrum. Um, being autistic is in the spectrum. So if you say someone's on the spectrum, you're essentially saying they have like ADHD, autism, something along those lines. Do you think people thinking chapter 218 is terrible is unjust? That people thinking chapter 218 is terrible is not necessarily unjust because you're not supposed to like that chapter. The point is not to like that chapter. So, but the arguments against the chapter are not good. It's hard to explain. As a scene in reference was the mix of Kazuya's characterization, it was the implication that everything was meaningless. No, that wasn't it. People hate chapter 218 because it's NTR. That's mostly kind of it. They hate the chapter because it's NTR. And that's kind of the issue. But that's not like chapter 218 is a layered topic. And luckily, this video does not discuss chapter 218. This came out before chapter 218, which is why I thought this was a good video to start with. Okay, we're just going to get into it. Okay, we're just going to get into it. Without further ado, let's watch this.
Back in the winter of 2020, YouTube recommended me this video titled Day in the Life of a Japanese Manga Creator. The video showcased a mangaka by the name of Miyajimi Reggie who worked on his manga.
Why'd he say it like that? That was just mean. And his name is Reiji Miyajimi. Not however the fuck he said it, but whatever.
Titled Rent a Girlfriend. It was a pretty standard day in the life video, but at the time I was like, dang, that's pretty cool. He draws on an iPad. I thought the manga industry was in the Stone Age, drawn on stone tablets or something. And in the video, he said that his manga was gonna have a summer 2020 anime adaptation. I was like, you know what? I like this video. I like his vibe. I'll watch the anime when it comes out. Fast forward an epidemic later and Rent a Girlfriend airs, and I watched all of it. And when I finished it, I actually liked it. I mean, of course there's stuff I didn't like about it, like really didn't like. Like I knew this wasn't well written or anything, but I just had dumb fun watching it. But overall, I just had
So let's pause very quickly. This is the feeling the anime definitely evokes when you watch it. That's a frustrating thing for me. And I do think like you do kind of feel it initially when you're reading the manga. It's that feeling of it's not well written. And I do think a huge aspect of it is that the way Reiji writes can appear like the kind of writing that is just designed to create that it's melodrama. It's melodrama. It's designed to elicit emotion from you rather than actually be good writing. Now, there's a few layers to this issue. Early Rent a Girlfriend up until like chapter 50 isn't the greatest thing in the fucking universe. I think chapter 50 is when the series really kind of fucking hits its stride and really kind of figures itself out, which is super fitting because that's kind of around the time when Kazuya starts to slowly overcome some of his depression. Early Rent a Girlfriend really focuses around Kazuya's depression, and so naturally, there's a lot of messiness and spiciness and stupid shit. But even then, there is still good writing, and Reiji even admits this. If you pay attention to some of the interviews for season 1 of the anime, he literally says like season 2 is going to have a lot more of that like what is it, like proper character drama and stuff like that. There's almost a sense of self-awareness in the writing with Reiji that the early parts of the series isn't like amazing and great, but even then I still think the beginning of the series is really well done. Watching now in terms of the anime, if we're talking about the anime definitely, unfortunately, because of their trimming, because of their presentation, because of their music, and especially the music, definitely creates that vibe of this isn't like a really good thing, and that's a huge problem that I have that a lot of these creators do, where what they'll do is they'll watch the anime and they'll continue from the anime onward instead of reading the manga proper. And even then, even if they read the manga proper, there's no good translations. There's no solid translations to interact with the manga. So you're essentially kind of screwed in a way to get into this manga. So this is why I often recommend people kind of reread the manga, even though if they start with the anime or catch up to the anime, because I do think the anime creates that feeling of this isn't that well written. And I still feel that even watching the anime now, I definitely still feel that you think to yourself, this isn't that well written. Because of how the anime, like, the manga has a lot of subtlety to it, whereas the anime often doubles down on the extremism of the story, whereas the story, like, finds, like, a balance between the extremes and the subtle. I think the anime doesn't really do that very well.
Fun. It was just about this loser incel that just got dumped, and to cope with it...
There it is. That's already side one. He's kind of misunderstanding Kazuya's character. Loser incel. Kazuya isn't an incel. Kazuya is a fundamental criticism of incel characters, in particular because initially he comes off as an incel because he got dumped, but then you realize the reason he's lashing out like he is not because he's an incel, it's because he's literally hurt, and this is what happens to incels. They get hurt in some way, and then because people don't accept them, show them kindness and understanding, they turn to becoming a straight up incel, right? Like they commit full hard to being terrible incels who hate fucking women, right? That's not Kazuya's character. The whole point of Kazuya's character is that he's not an incel, and he actually almost helps his friend from being an incel. Kazuya is not that, and he's not a loser. Like he comes off as a loser initially for sure. That's the whole point. Is like Kazuya does initially feel like a loser, but he's not a loser.
That he goes online and rents a girlfriend because he couldn't help but being a bigger loser. Enter Chizuru.
That's the other problem too. Why is he a loser for renting a girlfriend? It's like saying someone's a loser for watching porn, or like paying like what is it? Like, I forgot the name of it. It's like, okay, but if that person's a loser, then so is the person doing that. Why is he a loser for renting a girlfriend? I feel like that's such a negative stigma, or like that alone reflects the stigma around Chizuru's job, to the men turning to this job, to the women being part of this job. In saying Kazuya is a loser for turning to this job, you're essentially, without meaning to, that's not your intent, but without meaning to, you're essentially saying the person working the job sucks too. And I think, like, when you live in capitalism, that's not really a thing. And there's layers to the rental job, in particular, it helping Kazuya deal with his depression and his grief. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's really frustrating that Kazuya is often labeled a loser just from the opening alone, and just from him turning to renting a girlfriend, when the manga actively shows you he's desperate and alone. And the fact that he turns to this should reflect why that's an issue, that Kazuya is desperate and alone. He doesn't have anybody to turn to. And it's leaving those things as like threads to think about. Wait, why did this happen? And then you see the other chapters and you start seeing how his friends and his family treat him. And you're like, oh, it's starting to kind of click.
His rental girlfriend. And then yada 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 happens, and now the main dude's friends and family see him with his rental girlfriend, thinking it's his actual girlfriend, and not wanting to admit to his friends and family that he's a fucking loser. He has to keep up this act that his rental...
That's not fully accurate. There's layers to these scenes. I hate that I pause every 2 seconds, because he's literally kind of simplifying everything to make it easier for people to digest, but in so doing, misrepresenting what actually fucking happens. So, for instance, to his grandparents, they literally Kazuya literally tells Chizuru right after this why he doesn't tell his grandparents. But then when it happens with Kibe, it's completely different, right? When he shows off Chizuru to Kibe, it's to tell Kibe to fuck off, because Kibe, right after, like when we first see Kibe, what does Kibe do? He tells Kazuya, mommy is out of your league. You should just settle. You're not good enough. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. So when you're a guy and people keep telling you to settle, to not try, to not believe, to not dream, naturally you want to lash out, right? So when it happens to his grandmother, it's a little different. It's because it's his grandmother's dream. It's this idea that he's always wanted to do. When it happens with Kibe, it's more selfish. It's for him. There's a little bit of anger in there. And then when it happens like with mommy, you see like the contrast in how Kazuya deals with it. There's a bit of an oversimplification happening here. It's kind of bugging me.
girlfriend is his real girlfriend until further notice. And that's the basic schmoop.com summary of the series. And
okay, yeah, see, that's an oversimplification. Another thing the person avoided to mention is that Chizuru plays along with this too. And that's when the series kind of flips on its head. That's the point of chapter 1 and chapter 2 being almost identical in structure. Because in chapter 1, Kazuya is the one who's lying. In chapter 2, Chizuru is the one who's lying. And we see her perspective. The anime combines chapter 1 and chapter 2 into episode 1, and it kind of loses some of the layers to it.
And I like the anime enough to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go read the manga. And then I read it, and you know what? I enjoyed that too. I was entertained. I mean, there was a lot of dumb shit that happened, but that movie arc was entertained. I mean, there was a...
This whole chapter sucked balls, chapter 85. Why? Like, I can see it because like it's drama and shit like that, but this chapter, in my opinion, was actually good. Because it's like you're seeing the childishness of Ruka in contrast to Kazuya trying to be an adult, and in contrast to Chizuru's adultness, and then you're seeing how Ruka's childishness ultimately ends up hurting Kazuya, and how Kazuya starts blaming himself because he becomes a victim of the situation for what he did, and it shows you the layers and how everybody's kind of at fault here.
A lot of dumb shit that happened, but that movie arc was alright. I think. I became up to date with it in a
That's already a bad sign. He thinks the movie arc is just all right when everybody thinks the movie arc is like straight up peak.
matter of 2 days, and it was up to chapter 170 at that point.
Oh man, he's using the dirty scans. Ugh. Ugh. He's not even like he's even.
And overall, I was entertained. But there's a thing I like to do with the series I finish or become up to date with, and that is to rethink and reflect and look back on what I liked about the series. Now here's where it fucked up, because Rent a Girlfriend doesn't want you to use your brain. It wants you to read the manga like like it doesn't want you to think about it. But the second you start to use one chromosome of your brain to process the manga, you realize, wait, ain't shit happened. And the manga tricked my dumbass, making me think it was actually decent just because.
There it is. Nothing happens. Argument one. Argument one. Nothing happens in the manga. If you're in this solely to see these two characters get into a romantic relationship, kiss, make out, and be together, you're kind of not, you're in the wrong series. Telling you right now. If that's all you're here for, if you want a traditional romance manga and that's all you're here for, this is not the series for you. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay? This relationship does progress and change all throughout the series, just not in the way that you want. And I say that in reference to those particular people, not to all readers, because to me, the way their dynamic and relationship changes and evolves all throughout the story is actually very, very interesting. It's literally like the stages of their lives literally being played out for you, and I think that's so fascinating. But to say nothing happened is bullshit.
Because it wasn't boring. And the second you realize this, you can never enjoy this show again. No, but really, this manga sucks Peter Griffin's nut-shaped chin, and it's the worst thing I've probably ever read. Or at least the most frustrating. Oh yeah, before.
I don't get that argument. I always hear that. This is the worst thing I've read. This is the most frustrating thing I've read. I don't get that. How can it be the worst thing you've read? Is it big? I think that people say that. I think people say that because they come to that realization. They get engaged, they get interested, they like it, and then suddenly they don't like it anymore. So they tell themselves, it's the worst thing I've read because how could you make me like this thing only to make me realize I never liked it? Or like it didn't give me what I wanted in the end. So how could I enjoy this thing? It's like the way they look at it is maybe like you walked into a restaurant and you thought you got food and you feel full and you got everything you wanted, but then you didn't actually eat anything. Maybe that's kind of how they're looking at it. But I feel like that's not what happened. I feel like rather what happened is you walked into a restaurant, you got food, you enjoyed the food, but then when you walked out, you're like, wait, this isn't the food I wanted. But the food was still great, but it's not the food I wanted, therefore it sucked. That's kind of more so, I think, what it is. But they think it's the other one.
Before I start, spoilers for Rent a Girlfriend manga, even though there's low-key nothing to spoil. And also, this video is kind of meant for people who've at least watched Rent a Girlfriend. I'm just saying this because this video might be a little boring if you have no knowledge of the series at all. But you can stay to find out how terrible this series is. And to the anime watchers who are afraid to get spoiled, when I say there's nothing to spoil, I really mean it. Out of the 156 chapters that have
so yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that frustrates me in watching these videos. They always function around the argument that there's nothing to spoil. Therefore, I can just spoiler dump everything in your face and it's okay because I believe there's nothing to spoil. Granted, I'll give him credit. He said spoiler warning, but then he proceeded to say all that bullshit. So apparently at this point, he's only read 157 chapters, but then he was showing shit from Paradise and Hawaiians, which doesn't make sense because that's like 190 chapters or so. Maybe when he wrote it, I don't know.
haven't been adapted yet, I can only think of two somewhat big things that happen in the story, which, by the way, these two things have nothing to do with the romance of the story, which is the main plot of this romance manga.
Yeah, it does. I can tell you right now, whatever he's going to talk about, it's going to be relevant somehow. I'm telling you. Just because it's not... See, that's the problem. He already points out exactly what I was just saying. He's only in it to see the two characters get together. The romance. That's it. Nothing of how you get to the romance, the function of the romance, how you even, like, get the relationship to... It's literally about their relationship, not just the romance of their relationship. It's about their relationship. Because romance starts with a relationship. You can't just say, I'm in it solely for the... Like, it's like instant gratification. You just want the thing you want, and that's it, nothing else. It's slow, but interesting. Okay, let's...
Those two things being Chizuru's grandma dies. No, not the grandma we actually care about, or like, it's just Chizuru's. And
did he just fucking say that? Did he just fucking say that? What? Did he just say Sayuri is not the grandma we care about? What? What? I'm pausing every 2 seconds because it's just blasphemy after blasphemy.
And Kazuya and Chizuru make a movie. Not that kind of movie, sadly. It's just a movie to get Chizuru's name out as an actress. That's it. That's all I can think of.
No. It's literally... Okay. So he's already highlighting he didn't really engage with the narrative. That's the problem. I want to point out something interesting about this already. He said this. Let's remember the portion where he talks about how when he finishes a story, he likes to think about what he just engaged with, and then like talk about it. Here's the problem with that. What if you already somewhat came to some sort of conclusion in your mind about something, and then you reframe the entire story around that conclusion? This is, to me, what's happening. He didn't reread the story. He read it once, came to a conclusion that he felt upon thinking, and because of this conclusion, now his mind will validate everything he believed. So you can see that here. This is a great example of that. To the two big things to him is Sayuri dying and Chizuru making a movie, all because she wanted to put her name out there and to show her grandma. He put that down below. Except, it's not about putting her name out there. The movie is being created specifically so Chizuru is on the big screen so her grandmother can see it, because it is a promise she made to her grandfather, who died. That was the point of this scene, not to get her name out there. To get her name out there is superficial. That's not Chizuru's intent. That's not Chizuru's purpose. Chizuru's purpose was simply to be on the big screen so her grandparents can see it. It is a very pure, innocent thing that reflects the dreamer-like nature of Chizuru, who had put that to the side for a very long time in her life. So to me, this oversimplification reflects the person not understanding the story.
That's all that happened. That's every relevant thing that happened for those non-manga readers. But I'm not gonna lie, there's a few things I like during this time period of trash. When Kazuya told Chizuru that he was gonna make a movie for her, that was the first time I've ever felt something other than hatred towards him. And also that time when he brought the projector inside Chizuru's grandma's hospital room to show her the movie before she died. That was very nice, not gonna lie. And then everything else is monkey shit. I'm tired of this long-ass intro, so let's...
Besides... What was this?
Not gonna lie. And then everything else...
Besides the Sumi chapters. He's one of those. The only good thing about this manga is Sumi kind of readers. Because Sumi is a not morally gray character. She is the most innocent character in the story. She is the most pure white character in this story, while every other character is messy and complicated and actually has layers to them.
This monkey shit. I'm tired of this long ass intro, so let's get down to business on why this manga sucks, Dick. Let's start off with the characters. I'm not gonna lie, I was never a fan of Ruka. I thought she was very clingy and annoying. The only reason why this show's fan base said she was best girl is because she has big boobs and she's underage. Y'all some weirdos. But in the manga, she's 20 times worse. Because the reasons why she still stays with Kazuya and the things she'll do to keep that relationship going is just dumb. Alright, let's start with the dumb shit she does. So first of all, she constantly clings to Kazuya. So much so that she wants to go to his family events as his girlfriend, knowing damn well Chizuru is going to be there, and everyone in his family knows Chizuru as Kazuya's girlfriend, but she doesn't care because she literally acts like a child. And Kazuya has to lie to everyone and say that she's a pathological liar just so the situation.
That's in the beginning. So, okay, there's a few layers to this. Yes, Ruka does do these things. In particular, the early part of the story, Kazuya tells them she's a compulsive liar because he's desperate and he doesn't know how to deal with his grandmother. Ruka acting like a child is the point. She is a kid. She's literally in high school. She literally is in high school. So she is a kid. So her acting like a petulant child, a stupid fucking kid, is the point. She's supposed to be stupid and idiotic and that clingy. Why is Ruka clingy? Reiji gives you a reason. Ruka is clingy because she literally tries to define herself through the relationship, which is not healthy. Ruka is reflective of, like, a lot of Ruka's problems in the relationship stem themselves from insecurity. So the point of Ruka doing this is the idea. When you deconstruct it, Ruka is very interesting. But it appears dumb because, yes, it is dumb, right? Like, what Ruka does in the story is dumb. That's the point, right? She is a dumb character who does dumb shit. But then sometimes you see her actually being cute, and it's because in those times, the insecurity is not there. And that is her conflict in Paradise. That is the core conflict of Ruka's character in Paradise. Okay, you're gonna keep preserving this relationship until you ruin everything, right? And then mommy shows up and comes up to her and tells her, hey, like, you're gonna help me, like, do this, right? You're gonna help me be kind of shitty, right? It's because mommy was essentially reaching the peak negativity in that arc. And so Ruka essentially has to decide, am I going to be an antagonistic figure just to preserve this relationship? Or am I actually going to choose love over all of this? Because to love Kazuya is to let him go, right? And I think a part of Ruka in the current manga has kind of somewhat let Kazuya go, despite what many people might think. But yeah, that's kind of important to highlight that, yes, that Ruka does do these things, but there is a purpose that actually makes sense and is interesting character-wise when you break it down. And I think he's oversimplifying it to its base, to the fact that Ruka did this, it's stupid, therefore bad. That's all.
Situation won't get any weirder. Wow, this is what you have to do to get a family's approval? That's one way to not be liked by anyone.
Except Kazuya's family have gone out of their way to make him feel like shit. And for him to feel like he needs to lie to them to make things happen. And that's kind of very important when you cover Paradise, because what does Kazuya do? He doesn't lie for them, he lies to save Chizuru because he feels like he has no power other than to do that, other than become a sacrificial pawn. I think that's just kind of sad that so much of that nuance is being kind of missed.
Wow, this is what you have to do to get a family's approval? That's one way to not be liked by anyone. She's also so clingy and dumb to the fact that when Kazuya literally tells her to break up with him, even though he could just like break up with her himself. But yeah, he tells Ruka to break.
He tries, well, no, the whole point of this is that Kazuya is trying to gain autonomy while at the same time trying to respect Ruka's autonomy. I think he doesn't do it the greatest way possible. I will admit that, and that's kind of the point, is that Kazuya is trying to be respectful, and he's trying to be like, okay, please just let me go, let me end this relationship, Ruka. but at the same time, he knows she has some leverage here. I think that's a bit of thing that's missing is that Ruka has some leverage here. In particular, she could like, tell the family all this or do all this negative stuff. And Ruka has shown in the manga at this point that she does do a lot of bad shit. And so Kazuya is trying to end it as cleanly as possible instead of being rude and mean, because especially considering he kind of likes Ruka, not in a romantic way, but like as a person. And I think that's just kind of being, again, removed here. Red Girlfriend is the only manga that keeps me excited for its release weekly basis. I personally like the development pace of their relationship. Feels like a journey. There are girls like Ruka. It's very realistic, and she wants what she wants. That's why a lot favor her over Chizuru early on. A big reason people like Ruka over Chizuru, I think he mentioned this. That he thinks it's just because she has big boobs. No. A lot of the reason people like Ruka over Chizuru is that Ruka is the feisty, cute tomboy girl. And yes, she is in high school. Yes, that is a factor because she is young. That's a character being young and expressive and loud and wanting what they want makes people like her. And yes, the anime does triple down on the horny shit with Ruka, which is kind of uncomfortable. But Ruka is the feisty character, and because she's a feisty character, that attracts people. People love outspoken people. People like it when you're outspoken and expressive and passionate. Ruka has a lot of these. This is contrasted by Ruka contrasts Kazuya, Ruka contrasts Sumi, Ruka contrasts Mami, Ruka contrasts Chizuru. She is very different from all these characters. She very much stands out. So that's one of the reasons people like her, is that she stands out and seemingly makes it feel like the plot is moving forward. She forces things to happen. That's why people like her. In a narrative sense, that is what is appealing about Ruka. Not just because she's a cute tomboy, not just because she's a cute young girl who has big boobs. That's very surface level breakdown of her character. That's bullshit.
Break up with him because he loves Chizuru, and then Ruka's like, yeah, I already know that, but I love you and we're soulmates even though you don't like me at all and show me no affection in private or in public. So no, I'm not breaking up with you because having a one-sided relationship is better than having no relationship. Man, this girl must be drinking water from Flint, Michigan because she's on the spectrum. What's wrong with you?
Okay. Yeah. That's the point. That's the point. It is stupid. That's the point, because Ruka literally bases her entire worth as a person because her heart beats around Kazuya. Therefore, she has worth. Ruka is that character. Okay, you know those stories where there's a lot of people who base their self-worth on how other people perceive it? That's kind of Ruka. That's the point of Ruka's character, and that's where Ruka has to essentially Ruka is a contradiction. Ruka is a contradiction in the story because she is a character who is growing up, and she has a lot of character. She has a lot of I just explained why people like her. She's very expressive, she's very loud, she's very passionate, and she wants what she wants. That's a lot of character, right? In contrast, Ruka has this insecurity of she is the me I want to be. So she tries to become this person by finding her sense of self-worth through other people. Except we already see how she already seems to have like a lot of sense of self, and she's willing to fight for that. Ruka is a contradiction. That is the point of her character. She is a very passionate person who believes she doesn't have self-worth and isn't worth being in the story, and that's where the meta level comes in. She's the second girl in the story. The second girls in the story in romance manga and harems or whatever, they never win, right? They always have like kind of a blue tint to their hair. They have like the blue coloring style, and they never win. But when they inevitably lose, what happens to them? They are removed from the story for the most part. They are sidelined. Their character arc is over. Their journey is over. They don't matter. And what happens to Ruka after Paradise? Literally that. Literally that. Except Ruka seems somewhat content with the situation, even though there's somewhat of a lie still existing, and her life is seemingly kind of moving in that time. It's because there's that insecurity is kind of gone. That's kind of the importance of the whole Ruka situation that I want to point out. Ruka is a mess, but it's stuff you can understand specifically because she's a high schooler, because she's a dumb kid who's still figuring herself out. And a lot of the characters are struggling with these kinds of concepts in different ways. That they're young and stupid and they don't know what they're doing. And just because they're like kind of getting into adulthood doesn't mean they are. Ruka perfectly represents the high school conflicts within the story, the stuff we're very familiar with, except Reiji pitches it through a much more messy and realistic lens. That's why Ruka is Ruka. That's what makes Ruka Ruka, and that can easily make her hateable, right? A lot of these characters are hated for various reasons, and those reasons all have to do with certain kinds of biases or conflicts that they themselves are struggling with. And because we focus on the hate, we miss the point of what's going on with them. I think many people kind of miss that. We're so focused on hating something, we become ignorant of what's actually happening. Which is kind of pretty much how hate functions, really. Let's be real. Some could argue that they should have subverted the part where she's irrelevant post-Paradise. I don't know what that means. You'll have to elaborate.
What's the point of being in a relationship anymore if the love isn't shown? What's the point of being in this relationship at all? Because remember, the only reason why she got with and wants to stay with Kazuya in the first place is because he made her heartbeat increase by a little bit. Wow, really?
No, not a little bit. She felt her heartbeat for the first fucking time when she has this like heart condition that makes her feel like her pulse never like goes above a certain point. She never gets excited. She never feels things. So the fact that she feels like she really felt it, like the anime does this really cool thing where I will give credit to the anime with how they did Ruka's thing. Her world is literally black and white. Hello, Laura. Her world is literally black and white. And then when she finally interacts with Kazuya, there's literally color in her world. Ruka literally felt like an empty, hollow shell until she met him. You can't simplify it to, oh, because he made her heart beat a little bit. She literally has a medical condition that made it so her pulse never goes up a certain point because it would be bad for her. And she's gotten used to that. Yeah, Kazuya is like a high to her. In fact, that's something Reiji definitely toys with in Hawaiians. That Kazuya is kind of like a high, but at the same time, Reiji gives Ruka just enough chapters to show her actually kind of falling in love with Kazuya. Like actually kind of having something meaningful with him. And again, oversimplification happening here. Ruka in the end chooses love because she decides, you know what, I want my love to define this relationship, not my fear, which is kind of the thing that's been defining her the whole time. Do you think Umi's going to show up anytime soon? I don't know. Yeah, last time he just fucking checked out and he just like left. I think he'll show up after they get together, maybe, or after this arc. Because they set up Umi for a reason.
Us can do that. Exercise, roller coasters, like literally any semi-active activity. So
it's really funny. The things he just mentioned. Ruka's backstory literally starts with her going on a roller coaster and her heartbeat does not rise. You should exercise. Ruka literally exercises. Nothing happens. Her heartbeat just does not go up. Literally all of the things he just described, she did. And none of them did any of the things. Bro. Again, this is telling me he read this once and then he came to his own conclusions. But remember, when you read a lot of dialogue, a lot of story, you're going to forget things, right? Like this isn't thoroughly thought. This is not thoroughly thought out, right? You can tell it's not thoroughly thought out. He just pieced things he remembered in his head together to come to the conclusion he felt most comfortable with. That's kind of my frustration with this video so far.
Like if I jumped Ruka out of nowhere before she even met Kazuya, would she fall in love with me? Like, I'm a guy, and when I punched her in the jaw, her heart rate increased. So now we're so
I'm gonna just say that made me a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna just be pretty straightforward. That made me a little uncomfortable. Um, so first off, his argument is a fallacy. Um, would your heart rate rise if you're put in a life or death situation? Gee, I wonder. Gee, I wonder. No fucking shit. Except, wait for it. I was gonna insult him. Thank God I stopped. I don't want to resort to insults. The entire scenario that happens with Kazuya is, wait for it, a life or death situation. They literally fall downstairs and he guards her. What is that called? The suspended bridge effect, where you fall in, where you feel like you like someone because they saved your life. Yeah, exactly. That's the point of how Ruka fell in love with Kazuya, is that she fell in love with the idea of him being a hero, of him saving her, when she views a lot of his traits as negative. But then she sees some of the positives here and there as they get closer later on. Ruka essentially reverse falls in love with Kazuya. Do you have a favorite volume cover of Rent a Girlfriend? Another time. No. That's not a joke, dude. That's fucked up. I don't like that kind of jokes. I don't like these kinds of jokes. And it again, it really highlights how he misunderstood the plot. The point of how Ruka and Kazuya got together is that she went through the suspended bridge effect. In contrast to Chizuru, who went through a similar thing when Kazuya jumped in to save her, but didn't just immediately give in to the emotion. Rather, Chizuru kind of let the emotion marinate and thought about it and actually let Kazuya get closer, but then in fact she actually wanted to distance herself from him. Reiji highlights a contrast between how Ruka and Chizuru handle their emotions. Chizuru distances herself from her emotion because it makes her uncomfortable. Ruka just completely commits to it. And she's like, oh, this must be what this is, right? Like, I want to date you because you made me feel this way, right? And that reflects Ruka's childishness as a character. Sorry, I just really did not like that joke.
Soulmates. This whole manga is just dumb as hell. She's also toxic as fuck. Not only does she force Kazuya to stay in a relationship with her, she also goes out of her way to ruin any chance of him confessing to Chizuru and any further relationship the two could develop. Examples: she lies to Chizuru about her and Kazuya having sex so that Chizuru doesn't develop any feelings for him, and also...
No, not so develop any feelings, so to stop her from talking to him or taking his confession seriously. And right after this, what does Ruka do? Since we're all going to be a little forgetful today, let me pull up how Ruka felt about that. Yeah, just in case, since we're all being a little bit forgetful. I vividly remember this chapter. Don't get me wrong. I vividly remember this chapter. It's chapter 186, I believe. Yep, I think. No, it's 187. I was one off. Damn, I'm a liar. I one off. Ruka leaves the house. My heart's pounding. She's freaking out. Okay, so there's already contradiction one. Her heart can beat from doing something like that. What does Ruka say? I wonder if that was too far. Maybe I made her mad. Come on, Sarishna, not going soft now. Are you going to let Chizuru-san take Kazuya-kun away from you? Okay, that's the setup of Ruka's arc. Her choosing to be a bad person. Her choosing to do toxic things. Now, she doesn't do a lot of toxic things. This is when Ruka really kind of fucking becomes toxic, right? Like, I think prior to this, it was less toxic and more innocent desire being bad. Her desire is innocent, but it's bad. But so first off, he shows
her and Kazuya any further relationship the two could.
This one. Here Ruka makes an extremely valid argument. Okay, you're not dating him. If you're not serious about him, just leave and let me date him. Like, just go. This is a pretty fucking valid argument at this time in the story, right? If you're not serious about him, isn't that the best fucking solution? in this early stage, Ruka makes extremely compelling arguments, and she is meant to be antithetical to Kazuya and Chizuru's relationship because you see how she dates Curry and she's very detached from that relationship, in contrast to Kazuya and Chizuru, who are very close for someone who's seemingly doing a client and rental. See what I mean? So, Ruka actually makes an extremely valid argument here. But in the later portion, it's not. This is supposed to be desperate, sad, and kind of pathetic. And that was the point. It is toxic. And this is where Ruka really gets challenged. Okay, is this the kind of relationship that you want? Is this what you want to do? Is this how you want to keep this relationship? By force? By forcing him to be with you? And it's reflected how Ruka had reached a point where she really enjoys this relationship so much. She enjoys this time so much. She's becoming desperate not to lose it because it's feeling more and more real that she can lose it now. Again, this person's completely missing that.
Doesn't develop any feelings for him.
Not
and also, in a way to convince Kazuya to stay with her, she literally tells him that he has zero chance with Chizuru because their relationship is only business and will never be any more. So he might as
yeah. And it's a false argument that she used early on that is being mirrored here, but it's childish and doesn't work, and it reflects how little she actually knows. And Kazuya literally just says, "No, that's stupid." Kazuya just, "No, that's stupid."
well not even bother trying to confess to Chizuru and just stay in the unhappy relationship he's in with Ruka. Bruh, what's wrong with you? Isn't this manipulation?
It is manipulation, but she sucks at it. Also, Kazuya is not unhappy with Ruka. He just wants to be with Chizuru, and therefore makes him unhappy with Ruka. I guess it's hard to explain. Kazuya enjoys his time with Ruka. He does not feel romantic love for her. And that doesn't mean he's unhappy with her. She's not forcing him to be unhappy. She just thinks she would be a better fit if he gave her a chance, and it shows her naivety as a character. Let me read some of the chat. You seem like the type who hates edgy humor, not gonna lie. Yes, I do hate edgy humor because edgy humor, it literally just kind of devolves to, oh, haha, edgy humor, and then the moment you make fun of like something they don't believe is edgy, suddenly it's not okay. Edgy humor isn't what you think. Edgy humor is fucking stupid. Most of the time, edgy humor just devolves to, oh, look at like this thing, haha, look at this thing, and then if you make something edgy about something they believe is bad, not worth that, oh, suddenly it's bad. Right? And there's a lot of cases like this. I believe a lot of the issues too is like edgy humor tends to really fall under extremism. Like this case, I just didn't like that. Like it really felt tone deaf and stupid, and it's just, oh yeah, it's okay. Like that I'm gonna devolve her entire character to she'll fall in love with me if I hit her. Do you see how kind of fucking weird that is when that's really kind of oversimplifying Ruka's character and almost devolving her from a human being to justify your own belief systems? That's kind of gross. Do you see why I don't like that? It's literally removing her character and oversimplifying it to justify what you believe. That, oh, if I hit her, she'll fall in love with me. That's literally like bordering on, it fucking is misogynistic and fucking gross. Ruka and Chizuru are polar opposites to each other. Yes, they're supposed to be. Nice parallel, Kazuya saving Ruka and Chizuru. A big argument amongst the hate community is that Kazuya should just settle and be with Ruka. Kazuya does not settle. That's his entire character. He's a dreamer. Yes, he does not give up. That is his whole thing. That is a trait of shonen manga protagonists. That is the fucking point. Kazuya does not give up. That is his whole thing. He is literally kind of written like a shonen manga protagonist. He literally has white knight syndrome, bro. He literally has like this trait of wanting to be a white knight and like help people. Though Ruka got her trial relationship with Kazuya because of her blackmail. Yes, but I want to highlight something important. It didn't. One, a part of it is that there's this underlying thing of blackmail. You're correct. However, Chizuru pushes Kazuya into the relationship out of feeling bad for Ruka, out of pity. And then Kazuya agrees to that because he is kind of not very, at that point within the story, not very confident in who he is, and is slowly starting to find that. And so when Chizuru, this person he believes knows what's best, tells him to do that, he kind of just trusts her. And he's like, okay, maybe this is the best choice, even though it really isn't, especially considering Ruka, like, when seemingly threatening with the blackmail, when that doesn't work, she just breaks into tears. She doesn't really have much of like a weight over this, right? Like if Kazuya had doubled down or if Chizuru had doubled down, that would have been it. But because Ruka was they saw a little girl crying, they felt bad, so they said, you know what? No, let's just play this out, not realizing what they got themselves into. The problem is that becomes a leverage for Ruka later. See how the blackmail isn't the core part of the relationship? It just becomes a leverage later. It's how she initially tries to initiate it because she doesn't know how else to do it. And that also reflects Ruka's character too, how childish she is, that she would start the relationship like that because she's that desperate to be with him, that she would start it by like saying, "Oh, I won't tell your family if you date me." And it's like, the fuck? But it also reflects how she's a kid. A lot of the hate, I think, is almost peer hate. Like it's that in the cool thing to do. That series has a huge following in Japan and USA. Yes, the manga does have quite a large following in general, like everywhere. But the hate is complicated. That's one part of it. What you're describing, Aries, is the hate campaign that this series has going against it. You're welcome to not believe me, but there is a hate campaign against this series. In particular, something you can really see in how people spread disinformation, how people are actively rewarded for spreading disinformation and just saying they hate the series and making shit up like this. Well, this person just seems kind of like this person. This is before the hate train really started. I think this person kind of low-key sparked it. He was kind of the first step, and then afterwards you started to see a lot more videos. But this was one of the first big "it's shit" videos. There was another one that was like an hour long. We're not gonna sit through that one. It's too fucking long. Kazuya is very attractive physically. Kazuya is very attracted physically by Ruka. Poor guy. You mean he feels desire because she's a very beautiful young girl? Like that's normal. Like they're not even that far apart in age, if I recall. Like what was Ruka's? Actually, Reiji never implies Ruka's age. He just tells us she's in high school, and Kazuya is like a first year. So yes, there is an age gap, but Reiji intentionally never crosses a certain age threshold, just because. Also, if Kazuya settles, he won't be happy. Yeah, exactly, because he is in love with Chizuru. Ruka has acted like a nice girlfriend before, but even though that is not enough. It's not just Ruka being a nice girlfriend, it's that what Chizuru does for Kazuya is very important here, and that reflects the core part of the relationship. Ruka is not 18. No, Ruka is not 18. Her birth, we don't know Ruka's age canonically. We do not know Ruka's age canonically because Reiji intentionally avoids Ruka's age. Because, for a very simple reason, a high schooler cannot work a rental girlfriend job. The first thing we see is Ruka working a rental girlfriend job. A high schooler cannot work that job. In particular, like, it's the age, right? So he shows her in high school, and then he shows her working the job. But he doesn't, that's why he doesn't show her age, right? We only know, like, the day and the month, but we don't know her age. There's a reason Reiji avoids the age because she cannot work that job legally. But it does talk about like a few different things due to her age. Minnie and Sumi are cute in their own ways. Sumi is more innocent, whereas Minnie is more brash and at times has no filter. Yeah, totally. I wouldn't mind if they didn't like the show. Half of the haters have never seen the show or read the manga. Yeah, agree. True. That's definitely a popular thing to do nowadays. It's called absorbing it via mitosis. Hate campaign and rent a girlfriend truly exists in my country. Kazuya was insulted again by comparing with Blue Box today. Oh, fuck off. The anime community has somewhat made me dislike Blue Box because Blue Box is a good manga. I read the manga. I've not watched the anime. Blue Box is a good manga. I think it starts great and it kind of gets kind of later. It's kind of like just kind of okay later. But I do think, unfortunately, like, you know, how people perceive that story versus this story is really sad, especially considering those characters in that story are, wait for it, in high school, again, for the quadrillionth time. And to me, the problem I have with Blue Box is the characters do not act like high schoolers. They act way too fucking mature. They are way too mature. It's the problem I have with a lot of high school romance manga. The characters are way too mature, and these manga are very afraid to get into the messiness. There is some messiness in Blue Box that I do enjoy, in particular Hina and the main character's relationship. Um, but I think after that, it really kind of just throws that out the window, right? Um, like when Chizuru ghosted Kazuya for 3 months and Ruka helped him, that was not enough. I know it sounds mean from Kazuya's part. Uh, Ruka could not solve that problem, and she recognized that, and all Ruka did was just keep her distance. Right? She helped a little, but she kept her distance because she started to understand she cannot force Kazuya. That was already signs for me from a reader's point of view that, oh shit, Ruka's starting to change. Um, but that just shows you can't perform for that. You can't perform your way to someone's heart. You either are the one or not. Yeah. He reciprocated Ruka's second kiss and wait, what? He reciprocated Ruka's second kiss and even warned her that Ruka would have to move away so that something worse wouldn't happen. Gyro, I don't know what you're talking about. Kazuya never reciprocated any of Ruka's kisses. Ruka just doubled down on a kiss with Kazuya, and Kazuya just ran away from her. He didn't reciprocate anything and warned Ruka he would have to move away so that something worse wouldn't happen. I don't, none of that stuff happened, Gyro. I'm just telling you right now. I don't know what you're talking about. If people think Rent a Girlfriend is dragging the story, for the love of God, don't let them read One Piece or other shonen manga. They already make that argument about One Piece, so I don't know what to tell you. Other shonen manga is not really a fair thing to say. I don't know. It's complicated. Not gonna lie, I watched a few seconds of the series, was trying to find a new anime. It didn't do anything for me. Then I picked it up, and first I thought Shizuru was going to be one of many girlfriends before Kazuya got back to mommy. Glad it wasn't the case because Shizuru. Yeah, okay, big impression.
Super toxic behavior. And also, it's not like she's changing either. In the most recent chapters, she's trying to prevent it from happening more than ever. She knows exactly what she's doing, and she feels like she's not doing anything bad. So not only she's a toxic person, she's also an annoying bitch and a dumb character. Ruka's terrible, and the next character is just as bad, if not worse.
Okay. So, again, they're reading the story, like that whole thing they just explained with Ruka. That whole thing they just said, Ruka's arc had not resolved by that point. So naturally, when she's not being challenged, what does she do? She fucking doubles down. No fucking shit. Right? Like, if a character's arc is not resolved, of course they're not gonna just change, right? Like, he's like halfway through the Paradise arc from when he was showing, if not early in the Paradise arc. Of course Ruka wasn't going to fucking change, right? And even when she did change in the end of Paradise, like she started to have her first steps of change, it didn't happen immediately. And now is like when we're really seeing Ruka be kind of different. So that's not really a fair argument to make. Like, you're seeing half the story and you're saying it's the whole thing.
You know, I kinda liked Mommy when I watched the anime. I felt like her presence brought a lot of tension and what I thought was interesting conflict at the time whenever I saw her. I feel like it was only interesting because at the time, you didn't really know her intentions on why she's messing with Kazuya and Chizuru. And then when you read the manga, it's just dumb. Like, I still don't really get her attentions, but they must be stupid because she's doing the absolute most to mess with them. So much so that it makes you think, why? What are you gonna?
And that's the interesting thing about Mommy's character. The point is that she is a very, very, very subtle character. This is the reason why Mommy is so high on my list for favorite characters, because she is written so fucking well. Mommy as a character is intentionally presented to you in extremely contradictory and confusing ways because she herself is contradictory and confusing, right? For instance, let's go back to the beach arc. Who remembers the beach arc? The very first one, the very first beach arc. Mommy wants to break Kazuya and Chizuru up. Okay, that's her plan. She kisses Kazuya. Kazuya, and she's blushing ear to ear, mind you. And then Kazuya breaks up with Chizuru in public. Okay, mission accomplished. And then something weird happens. Mommy calls Kazuya afterwards to meet up with him. That doesn't make sense anymore. Because if her sole objective was to break them up, and if she was really that fickle, she would think they're that fickle too. She would think, you know what? Okay, they broke up. There's just no way they're going to get back together. So why call Kazuya? Simple. She actually liked him and wanted to be with him. And then when you get Mommy's backstory, suddenly her actions there make a lot more sense because Kazuya confronted Kibe after being punched in the face and being challenged, and he still stood his ground about how he felt. But then if you go back to Mommy's backstory, what happens in Mommy's backstory? In Mommy's backstory, her boyfriend talks about how he'll always be there for her, how he'll always side with her, but then just a tad bit of intimidation from her dad, and he shuts the fuck up. Right? And then he wants to break up with her. And suddenly he's not serious about her. In contrast, you have this scene with Kazuya, who is being challenged in public in front of all these people, and he starts swinging, right? So to Mommy, she started to realize he's serious. And that's why she called. Because she's like, if he's that serious, I want him to be my knight in shining armor. The problem with Mommy's character is that she is both a victim, and because of the people who abused her, she became like them. She is a character molded by her environment. And so, just as she is a victim, she makes other people victims, right? To validate her pain. She uses her trauma as an excuse to validate herself. Mommy is an extremely complex character that's not easy to understand. And it's so very easy for people to misunderstand Mommy, especially if you go and read Mommy's backstory. You'll just think to yourself, oh, she's a victim, right? Like some people will just see she's a victim and that's it, and that's fine. But there's layers to her victimhood. There's layers to this. She uses that because she's afraid, because she's been molded by her parents, because of how she's been treated, she starts becoming like them. And that's why Paradise, or Hawaiians, literally ends with Mommy looking herself in the mirror. And it's like, look in the mirror and see what you've become, right? Look at yourself and see what you have become. You have become the thing you hate, right? And that's when Mommy's character changes, right? Mommy starts being a lot more quiet, a lot more passive. She doesn't put on a mask around Kazuya anymore. In fact, she literally fucking can't anymore. She just crumbles as a character and has to find a way to rebuild to change her fate. Oh my god, what the fuck am I reading? Just got my hair done. Nigga, is this Anna Frank wrong? Hashtag my bad. I'ma tell Hitler, yo niggas got the phone and the damn attic. What are you gonna do? Okay. Even I hate Mommy the most as she is the biggest hindrance to Kazi and Chizuru. She is one of the best characters written for them. She's not simply a hindrance, she is a fundamental challenge to their relationship. Mommy is the reverse of Chizuru, right? Every character is a challenge to a certain aspect of another character. Mommy is Dark Chizuru, right? Mommy is the reverse of Chizuru in every conceivable way. She has a big family. She's rich. She can get whatever she wants. And she acts like a cute girl to get guys to give her what she wants. Are you seeing parallels, right? Mommy is the reverse of Chizuru in every conceivable way. In fact, a lot of Mommy's choices in the story parallel Chizuru's in a similar yet reverse kind of way. And that's really important to pay attention to. These two are two sides of the same coin, and this is why Chizuru can understand what Mommy is feeling at the end of Hawaiians. Mommy is confusing herself, and her actions reflect that, and is exacerbated by her parents' controlling nature. Mommy is complex. I might say she's the most interesting character in the story. In a lot of ways, yes, she is. Okay, that being said, I think her actions are just plain evil. Sure, what she wants to. Okay. So Mommy being evil. I think Mommy really crosses the line to becoming evil in Hawaiians. Not before that. I refuse to say prior to Hawaiians, Mommy is outright evil. She does toxic shit. She does shitty shit. She does shitty shit. but she's not evil. Hawaiians is when she really crosses the line to becoming evil. And that is why her character is challenged then. Because that's when, like, okay, you really crossed a line now. You almost destroyed Kazuya's family. You almost destroyed an entire family and ruined people's lives. Holy shit. You almost crossed a fucking line. Like, you got lucky. You got lucky nothing fucking happened. You got lucky they're not viewing you for like the terrible shit you did. You got so fucking lucky. And that was the thing for Mommy's character. Not everybody gets that lucky. She's lucky she's a cute girl. She's lucky she's a cute, beautiful young girl who just looks like she misunderstood something. It's literally privilege, right? Her privilege got her out of that situation. She got lucky, right? And Mommy realizes that afterwards. There's a reason. Okay. Do you remember the scene where Mommy meets up with Kazuya after the 3-month time skip? Like, it's for her, it's 4 months. The reason she meets up with Kazuya, and people don't recognize that, the first time we see Mommy come back is in chapter 245, when she sees Kazuya and Kibe making up. So when we see her again in chapter 263, what is Mommy doing? She meets up in a similar way. She meets up with Kazuya and she's trying to make up. But then she never admits to doing anything wrong, right? She puts herself in Kibe's situation where he didn't really do anything wrong, even though Kibe did, and Kibe started to realize he did some wrong shit. She never admits to doing anything wrong because she's afraid if she admits to that, that's it. She loses all hope again. It's Mommy's victim side contrasting with her wanting change, right? Mommy wants change now, but the fact that she did wrong things plays directly into the fact that she was a victim. Do you see the layers here? And this is why Mommy in post time skip is so passive, but yet constantly seems like she's after Kazuya. That's the point. There's layers. That doesn't mean she is right in doing so. She's not right in doing what she does. None of the things Mommy did is right, right? But I'm just saying she's not evil until Hawaiians. This is why Mommy is standing off post Paradise. She sees the passion Kazuya gave to Chizuru and she low-key respected it. She didn't just respect it. To her, Kazuya is an escape. To her, Kazuya is safety. To Mommy, what Reishi is doing with Mommy and Chizuru and why he's paralleling them is that Mommy needs to save herself. She needs to want to save herself. She can't just keep having someone else save her. That's the problem with her relationship with Kazuya. To her, Kazuya is going to save her. She needs to want to save herself. And that's what Chizuru does. That's what Chizuru does. Chizuru, in 3 months, had to step up and make change for herself. She needed Minnie to give her a push, but she had to do it herself, right? And after that, most of what Chizuru does is for herself. She's the one taking action. She's the one shaping her life into what she wants it to be. And that's why Reishi starts paralleling Kazuya and Mommy, two characters who cannot shape their life, who are struggling to shape their life, until Kazuya asks Chizuru out on a date. Then he starts shaping his life again. Then he starts taking control again. Okay? But Mommy doesn't. She wants Kazuya to do that for her, and Kazuya is her white knight in shining armor. She's essentially recoiling and recuperating after the defeat. Not necessarily, no. Yeah, Mommy is so lucky she didn't get any repercussions. She caused everyone involved, especially from Kazuya. Mommy's repercussions in Hawaiians is no one talks to her anymore, and she feels even more isolated. The way Reishi deals with repercussions in this story is not traditional, right? The cute girls in this story who do wrong things don't get immediate repercussions. They get like Ruka, her repercussions is Kazuya doesn't really want to interact with her anymore. Her relationship ended and she doesn't even know it. Mommy's repercussions, she doesn't really have, she's even more isolated than she ever was before, and now she doesn't even have her fighting spirit. She got completely crushed, right? Chizuru's repercussions is that, like, for all the shit she heard Kazuya for, she felt very alone, and she had to willfully try to atone and make change. And that was very hard for her. And because she went out of her way to make change and atone and say sorry, she started to get what she wanted, right? I don't know if what mommy did in paradise was evil. I think she fully didn't know the depth of Kazi and Chizuru's relationship. I feel like her plan was like Ruka's. No, I disagree. I disagree. Um, what Ruka did in paradise was not evil. What mommy did in paradise was evil because it was getting there. Look, even if mommy, look, you can do evil shit and not know you're doing evil shit. That's not a fair argument, right? If mommy's plan had worked, she would have destroyed Kazuya and Chizuru's lives completely, right? She would literally have destroyed their support system. In fact, the repercussions of her actions are literally felt afterwards, right? Kazuya and Chizuru are both very disconnected from the people around them, and the only reason they reconnect is because of an outside force through Minnie. Mommy's plan in a lot of ways still worked, and you feel those repercussions. So no, you can do evil shit, and you're not, and your intentions were not evil, because literally a lot of villains view themselves as the hero. Mommy wasn't any different. She projected a lot, and she kind of viewed herself as the hero of the scenario. I could do a whole breakdown as to what mommy was doing in her whole plan. And Kazuya got back. Minnie is low-key the Gandalf of the series, kind of, I guess. Or even apologizing to Kazuya or Kazuya's family doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, mommy is afraid to apologize because if she apologizes and actually admits to what she did, she'll lose everything, and she's afraid of that. Chizuru was a little bit similar in that sense. If she addressed the problem in front of her, there could be a fact that she could lose everything, and so she let it sit in limbo for even longer, causing herself even more pain. And Minnie literally tells her this: if you don't take action, you really are a shitty person. To keep it been there's many moments in Paradise Arc where mommy was one step away from an ass beating. Can we not talk about beating up women, please? Thank you. Now that you mention, you know what? You are right. You could also say that Kazuya rejecting her calling during the day is also a consequence. Yes, it is. It's a consequence of her actions, and it's a consequence of the fact that she never opened up or said anything. Mommy did not take any real action to amend her relationship with Kazuya. Therefore, she's not going to get just any fucking solution just magically handed to her, right? Like, if you're not going to take steps to make change, you're not getting anything. And mommy didn't. The reason Kazuya does not pick up the phone and instead turns to Chizuru is because Chizuru made amends. Chizuru fixed their relationship. Chizuru stepped the fuck up, right? Chizuru actually... Here, let's pull up chapter 263. Let me show you something that perfectly highlights what the fuck I'm talking about. 263, where are you? There it is. Is this the clean scans? No, these are not the clean scans. Clean scans, there we go. Okay. First off, Kazuya meets mommy. I want you to hold on to this one. I'm going to pull up a different chapter. This is chapter 230 something. 235 or 236? Let me see. 235, 235 clean. No, 200, okay, so 237 then. Okay. Look at this page. Do you see the similarities? Yeah. It's identical. There's a fucking point to that. Okay. Let's go to mommy. Mommy meets Kazuya. Mommy clears stuff up. Doesn't clear anything up, actually. Kazuya says sorry. And instead of being clear about what she's feeling, she says, "It's a lie that you're dating, isn't it? I heard it from Chizuru's son." Huh? Oh, yeah. Okay. Drinks her tea. Huh? That's all she has to say? There's no conversation. They walk out. See ya. The fuck? The fuck? And she just leaves. That's all? Yeah. Is that a problem? No. I wouldn't call it a problem. Leaves. The fuck just happened? When you read this chapter, you're meant to be confused. When you get context from afterwards to understand what's going on, it makes a lot more sense what the fuck is happening with mommy. You get here? Women, they're such a mystery, right? She confuses Kazuya. She perpetuates like this idea that like women are confusing and you're supposed to get all these tiny signals and a whole bunch of bullshit. when that's not true at all. Kazuya gets home. This parallels this. Okay. So you have this, this, and this. But there's a difference here. We had these two paralleling each other, but now you have this and this. Casual versus full cashed out. Now look at Kazuya's reaction here. He's all relaxed. Welcome back. Let's go back to Kazuya's reaction when he sees Mommy. Mommy? He's panicking. He's freaked out. What the fuck? That's so important to understand. Chizuru amended the relationship. Mommy didn't. Kazuya literally comes home to meet Chizuru, and there's nothing there with Mommy. He meets Mommy in the streets, and it's confusing and it's weird. And even though Kazuya and Chizuru have a misunderstanding, Chizuru clears it up, and Kazuya hurts himself because of the misunderstanding. Okay. And then after Kazuya hurts himself here, Chizuru actually bandages his hand. Literally reflective of her trying to atone and trying to fix things, right? It's part of her actions because here, she wasn't very clear. Kazuya is lost in his own thoughts, but Chizuru wasn't being very clear, right? And there's a reason, before the date starts, we call back to this exact scene, and Chizuru turns to Kazuya and she's like, I already told you this, you little fucking bitch. I already told you this. You know the drill by this point. I don't need to explain myself. And in that scene, Chizuru is completely in the right. Whereas here, it's kind of muddy, right? Kazuya runs away, gets hurt, kind of because Chizuru wasn't clear. She realizes that, and she bandages his arm, or his finger, right? It shows you right here, he like hurt his finger. Okay. This is how you communicate. You make mistakes, you interact, but you be honest eventually. Mommy does none of that. It's completely one-sided. Okay. God, we kind of stopped watching the video by accident. I'll read some of the comments and then I'll get back to it. I think an interesting direction to go is that Mommy essentially quietly exits the series. No, I don't think so. May I ask if I'm weird to think that during the 3 months before Marquand last rental date, not only Kazuya but Chizuru is suffering too? Yeah, everyone's suffering in that scene, right? Even Minnie is low-key suffering. Interesting. Pay a predator, you're not weird. Chizuru being sad during the ghosting is the point. That's why she's sad. Sorry, she regrets the ghosting. Yeah, it's like, and it's realistic too. And how like when you ghost someone sometimes like that, like you're in pain too because you keep perpetuating the problem. It's literally, the ghosting is literally highlights Chizuru's issue, which is her trying to deal with something. She doesn't want to break the status quo because if she confronts it, she breaks the status quo. So she kind of just keeps looping and she keeps getting stuck, and then eventually gets harder and harder the longer you wait until it feels fucking impossible to do it. This is why Chizuru lets Minnie into her home, right? She knows Minnie is on Kazuya's side. She already knows this, but she lets Minnie into her home anyway because she wants a solution. She wants to get out of this. She is in pain. It sucks. And she wants a solution. And she just wants someone to tell her, go do it, you fucking idiot. And Minnie does exactly that. And Chizuru gets her shit together and actually goes and meets Kazuya. Mommy trying to reconcile with Kazuya, but ended up with a nothing burger. Exactly, that is the point. Okay, let's keep going.
Gain from this. So right now Mommy is working as Grandma Kazuya's business assistant or something, and we all know Mommy's only doing this because she wants to do a little trolling. She even goes on a family vacation with Kazuya.
It's not trolling. It's not fucking trolling. No. See, this is another thing. This is kind of evil. Mommy meeting Kazuya's grandmother and literally invading his private life. That's pretty fucking evil. To like invade his life just so she can get closer and do the shitty thing she does. Like, literally, this is when Mommy starts doing evil shit.
And Chizuru's family, just to mess with them even more. Eventually, Chizuru and Kazuya
She's not
separately
just messing with them, she wants to break them the fuck up.
Confront her saying, the fuck are you doing? What's your problem? And then she gives both of them different answers. She tells Chizuru that she's messing with them because Kazuya is a creep and he'll ruin Chizuru's life if she keeps in contact with him. And Mommy says she's only trying to help Chizuru, even though she's constantly throwing around that she...
What was that? That's gotta be the most Fruity Pebbles walk I've ever seen. That's the point. He's walking confidently, but he's naive. That's kind of the point.
Mommy says she's only trying to help Chizuru, even though she's constantly throwing around that she could expose Chizuru and get her fired from her rent-a-girlfriend job. Yeah, you're helping a lot. Then she basically tells Kazuya, oh no, I'm not trying to cause any trouble. It's just that we hadn't hung out in a long time and I just wanted to see you again. Which is also a lie because she does this smug glare at the ground after the conversation, which, by the way, every time she does this, I just want to freaking scream at my phone. Don't act like you're gonna do anything. After hearing these responses,
What do you mean, don't act like? She does everything every fucking time. But ironically, he's kind of right. Bear with me. Ironically, he's kind of right. Mommy is a coward. She's angry and she vents on Twitter in a private account because she's a fucking coward who can't actually fully commit to the thing she wants to do. And that's reflected in the 3-month time skip. She's too fucking scared to confront the thing she wants to do. She says it in her backstory. I don't have enough courage to leave my family and make my own living because I'm in the end just a weak, scared kid. And to be fair, that does make her a coward and weak, but it also reflects how mommy needs a community circle. She needs people in her life. And that's the thing people are just like not addressing about mommy's character when they say they hate her. She literally has nobody. She does not have friends. She does not have support. She literally does not connect with the people around her. Mommy is actually straight up alone. Every time we see mommy, after her and Kazuya met up, she's alone. Every time, consistently. She's literally never has people around her. She has her brother show up like once, but her brother isn't really like, you know, someone she can confide in, right? Whereas with Chizuru and Kazuya, we always see them together. The dork walk. I love him. I love Kazuya in his door. I'm gonna destroy families and live Teehee that and leaves Teehee. That's how the guy in the video is framing it, and it's wrong. Yeah. While seeing things better light, Kazuya doing nothing after paradise and mommy seeing Kazuya living his best life might be the best revenge. I really think mommy might see in Kazuya and Chizuru's relationship and like that might change her a little bit. Like it's like, okay, maybe that's actually what I want. I want something like that. And essentially Kazuya becomes the reverse rental in a sense because that's what he's been for Minnie. Like with Minnie, Kazuya was kind of the reverse rental. It made Minnie like realize kind of understand her feelings about love, but also challenge her that she could also have love. So I could see like Kazuya being with Chizuru, Kazuya being with Chizuru challenges mommy to be like, I want love like that too. As just like how Curry, when he dated Chizuru and through rental, thought to himself, I want love like that too, right? Like I want a girlfriend, I want happiness like that too. That's kind of sad. I never thought of it like that. You know what they say, the best revenge is no revenge at all. But what about the person who she was with when Kazuya saw her at Joypola's? You mean her fiance that her parents forced her to engage to? The person she doesn't want to be with? But she's too afraid to confront because her dad always like ruins her life? That guy? That guy?
I finally realized, oh, she doesn't have motivation. She's just a bitch. She literally goes out of her way to mess up a relationship that she has 0% a part of to make sure that her ex that she doesn't even like, that she broke up with a year and a half ago, by the way, doesn't get his way. Bruh.
No, it's not that simple. That's an oversimplification of mommy's character. This is a great oversimplification of mommy's character. That she's just doing this because she's a bitch. No. Mommy is not just... There are layers and layers and layers upon mommy's character. The simple answer is that she's actually doing this because she's been in love with Kazuya this entire fucking time. And that she is projecting her father's abuse onto Chizuru. And framing Chizuru in her mind as the abuser. That she is using Kazuya. This is why her approach in the very end of Paradise is to frame Chizuru as a gold digger, as someone who's stealing Kazuya's money, right? And then she tries to put Kazuya down and kind of defeat him. But then you wonder to yourself, but wait, if Chizuru's the abuser, but she's still trying to put Kazuya down, what the fuck is the point? The point is that it's not even just that she's in love with Kazuya, it's that she is trying to prove you can't fight back against authority. When authority steps up, you shut the fuck up, right? That's her beliefs. And this is why in Paradise, who does she get to be the driving force of her plan? Kazuya's parents, Kazuya's grandmother, the literal authority figure of the family, the grandmother, the people who have power in the situation, just as her parents have power and authority of the situation. If what mommy is trying to do is basically seeing Chizuru as the abuser, her parents, but also as herself, as this weak girl who thinks she can make change. In that same way, she's seeing Kazuya as the boyfriend who broke up with her, but also her dream literally being in front of her, and she wants to destroy that dream because she doesn't want to believe good things can happen to her. That's what she's doing. Mommy is such a fascinating character because of that. Her motivations are complex and layered. She's both doing this because she's in love, because she's afraid, because she's angry, because she's because I lost my train of thought there. Because she's angry, because she's fearful, because she's afraid, because she is hateful. She is fucking pissed, dude. And she wants to project that out. She wants to lash out like that. Why do you think most of what mommy does in this story is lash out against men? Because men control her life, right? Most of what mommy does is lash out against men. She is pissed at men because all of them control her fucking life. She's forced to marry a guy. A guy decides what she has to fucking do in life and where she can go in life. They give her money. They give her a home. They give everything to her. And even her mother is subservient to her fucking dad. Why do you think that? Mommy is just fucking angry at the world and she is lashing out in rage. That's what's going on with her character. That's why she's doing what she's doing. She is a very complicated character who's been through a lot and is defined by her trauma. And this arc, the cohabitation arc, is breaking out of that trauma, right? The cohabitation arc, the date arc, is about breaking out of your trauma. This is why they introduce all the other characters and all of their traumas or all their conflicts and how they're also going to have to break out of it eventually, maybe through Kazuya and Chizuru.
Why do you care? Why do you care about anything this man does? Why are you even doing?
The fact that he asks why shows he doesn't understand her character. It's that simple.
Any of this? Like, go somewhere, man. She's just a petty idiot who apparently has no life because she's spending her time hanging out with and messing with people she don't even like or care about. And for what? Getting information that you're gonna do nothing with? Oh, cheeser.
Gee, isn't that very similar to what I just described? Mommy does not have a life because her life has been decided for her. She doesn't have a life. She doesn't have a choice. She is just a pawn in a machine. It's literally in her fucking name. Mommy's name literally means beautiful hemp of the seven seas. Hemp is a commodity in Japan. You sell that shit. Yeah. She's literally something to be sold. But then hemp has another meaning in Japanese, which is that it is also a thing of protection. It protects children from evil. And in fact, it's something you see, the best comparison I can give to you is Nezuko from Demon Slayer wears clothes with the hemp pattern on it. There's a specific pattern for hemp. It's because hemp essentially protects children from evil. And this is why Nezuko, throughout Demon Slayer, grapples with her evil side, her demon side. She has a demon side and she has her innocent side. She's constantly fighting with this side. It's the same with Mami. Mami is very much the same. Reiji, in Volume 36, Extra Panels, literally said he specifically wanted to include the word hemp in Mami's name. He doesn't explain the reason why, but when I researched hemp, it made a lot more sense, right? There's a cultural significance to hemp, in particular with that battle of your evil self. Or protecting children from evil, and also to give them bravery and strength. But then you also consider the fact that hemp is a commodity, something to be sold. And then it starts to make sense. The name has a double meaning, right? They gave her a name to give her strength, but then they're also using her literally to be sold as something that is beautiful. She's the beautiful hemp of the seven seas. Doesn't that sound like something really pretty, like some merchant would want to sell to you? Exactly. I haven't got much right now, but I want to support you and your channel the best way I can. It's okay, man. You don't have to spend very much. I really appreciate the 45 cents. No worries. Don't spend. If you have money and you need to save, don't spend. Save it. I don't care. I have a full-time job, dude. It's okay. I don't need you to spend on me. It's cool. It's cool. Like, once we get big enough, people will spend on me. Once we get there, people will spend. It's okay. You don't feel like you have to. Focus on yourself. You're what matter, dude. Don't spend if you can't. Mommy is like an onion, much like ogres. Ha 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 ha. Oh, ogres are like onions. How about a cake though? I think Kazuya protecting Chizuru and Mommy seeing what she could have had in front of her was the best revenge. Kinda. If ever, Mommy should protect her from herself. Exactly. She's seeing that she could experience that and didn't enjoy it when she had it, and must be mortifying for her. I loved when Mommy poked Kazuya. Kazukun. Yeah, I think that's what's charming about Mommy's character too. You have this really, just like not feisty, just angry side to Mommy that just like lashes out, and she feels very powerful and strong. And then you have this very weak and pathetic side to Mommy in contrast to that, and it makes her kind of cute that she can go from this tough girl who can like wreck any dude in front of her to this weak, pathetic person who's kind of a fucking coward, but is also innocent and cute and clearly wants love, but she's just messed up and doesn't know how to find it. That's kind of part of Mommy's charm, is that she's a fucking mess, and it's cute. It's cute that like she's trying so hard, but she's also in some ways trying to find her own happiness. That's a line I really loved from the live action where Kazuya like confronts this abuser, and mommy overhears him, and he literally says, everyone's trying to find their own happiness. What gives you the right to tell them how to do it or how to live their lives? And I think that's like in that version, Mommy like falls in love with Kazuya. But yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe Reiji will. I don't think Reiji will replicate that word for word. He kept Mommy's backstory the same in that version, but it didn't play out exactly the same, right? Kazuya actually sees it firsthand, whereas here it's in the background.
Chihiru's a rental girlfriend. What am I gonna do with that? Absolutely nothing. And she's been doing this shit.
What do you mean? She threatens her. But you're also kind of right. Like, she threatens her and does absolutely nothing, and she even admits later she wasn't going to do anything because Mommy's a coward.
For a year and a half. Keep in mind, like, you got nothing else better to do.
It literally reflects Mommy's weakness as a character. She is literally framed as this character that makes change within the narrative, when in reality she's actually very passive and fucks everything up.
Life, you got no friends to hang out with, you got no family to talk to, you got no hobbies or anything. Like,
correct. Mommy's only hobby is her phone, where she plays Tetris and goes to crane machines in an arcade. That's it. Mommy does not have a life. That is the point.
She's low-key a fucking loser. She just does this.
She is a loser. Mommy is a loser.
Dumbass look at the end of every scene she's in and tweets out to her 5 followers. I feel like her only purpose is just to annoy everyone, including the viewers. And some people—
No, that's not Mommy's purpose.
Might say, oh, she's an antagonist and you don't like her? Well, that's how you're supposed to feel, you poopy head. She's a well-written villain. And to the people that say that, no, that's stupid. A well-written villain is someone with well-established motivation and—
You're gonna show Pain from Naruto? That's your best example of a great villain? I mean, to be fair, Pain is a very good villain in Naruto. I think Pain is like one of the best villains in Naruto. In fact, the Pain arc is probably the best part of Naruto. But I don't know. It just feels like a very simplistic
backstory on the reasons why they do the things that they do.
Reishi does give you the backstory, just not immediately.
I probably could have described that better, but I'm no analyst. Mommy has no—
I am no analyst. Spends most of this trying to analyze the manga. These people are so funny. What if the series ended with Kazuya saving Mommy? Do you think Mommy will become friends with Chizuru, Kazuya, and the rest of the characters by the end of the story? I think Reiji is kind of setting something like that up for the characters to confront these bad sides of themselves and to resolve conflicts. I really think like Chizuru and Ruka could actually be friends. He frames them like sisters in Hawaiians when they're actually like hanging out and not being shitty. Like when Ruka's not being shitty, they're actually like sisters. It's so cute, right? Um, but but then but then Ruka's insecurity kicks in, and that changes everything. Haha, mommy. He spells it with haha. So clever. Maybe they take her under their wing.
Reason why she does the things that she does, other than being petty and being a bitch. That's it. That's basically just being evil for
No, it's not just evil for
the sake of being evil.
Why would you show this character? He's not just evil for evil's sake. This entire arc is in One Piece is literally about racism and how this person has been like fueled and warped by racism to the point that he turns into this freak. Like, I, I.
Evil.
All right, after editing and looked at chapters again, she might still be in love with Kazuya. Oh, he picked up on that, and that's the reason she's doing this. That's one reason. But she's still going around that the dumbest and most destructive way possible. She doesn't need to lie to Chizuru about saving her or threatening her career. It's because she views Chizuru as the villain. And why in chapter 200 does she imply to Ruka that she can have Kazuya to herself if Mami herself is in love with Kazuya? Oh, that's important. It's because she views Ruka as actually her. She views Ruka as actually her. She views Ruka as the victim in the scenario, right? She views Ruka as the victim in the scenario, especially if you go back to the chapter where Ruka confronts Mommy and tells Mommy to fuck off, and then also tells Mommy, I know about Chizuru. And yet, Kazuya is seeing Chizuru, okay? So in Mommy's eyes, Ruka is literally being led along and not actually having a real relationship. In so doing, framing Chizuru as the villain in the scenario. So to her, she actually means this. She actually means this. She wants Kazuya to be happy. But she also wants Ruka to be happy. And Chizuru is the villain, not letting them be happy. In fact, go back to the scene where Kazuya meets Mommy in school. Right after like chapter 50 or something. It's like chapter 60 or something. And she sees them. And she literally like tells Kazuya like, hey, you know, like dating Chizuru isn't real, right? Like you should find yourself a real girlfriend. Then she shows up, she sees Ruka with him, and then Ruka seemingly knows about Chizuru, but then they're not actually dating. Do you see how she can interpret it as Ruka is also the victim in the scenario? And it's why she can tell Ruka, you can date Kazuya. It's layered. It's not spelled out for you. Look, this series is complicated. This series is extremely complicated. And just to highlight for you how complicated it is, Reiji made the Shiunji family. And if you read the Shiunji family, he constantly spells the story the fuck out for you. Constantly goes out of his way to explain things to you because he literally knows. He said this in a fanbox stream. He knows people don't understand what the fuck he's writing. And they're confused because people's literacy skills have dropped significantly. People are dumber, dude. People are a lot dumber. And he knows this. And this is why he constantly has characters explaining or highlighting certain things to you. Or like, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Or he'll have the Shunji family where the characters will just say things that seem out of character just so they can explain something to you because people, for some weird fucking reason, can't understand what he's writing, right? It is complicated and he wants you to keep track. And it's the type of story that rewards you for rereading. If you do not reread this story, it will be difficult to engage with because you will not remember things, right? That's why a lot of people who read this story as a binge find it very, very entertaining because everything is clicking together really, really fast and it's making a lot of sense. Even if you're not processing everything, even if you're not remembering everything, it's still clicking in your brain. Your brain is remembering it. But when you read it like weekly, or when you like go from the anime to the manga, or you binge it in weird ways, like it tends to just kind of fall apart. So I think that's kind of important to remember is like This is a manga that rewards you for rereading, and Reiji realizes it's hard for people to remember things, and that's why he simplifies stuff. But despite that, despite like Shunji family having like dialogue like that, it's still a very complex story underneath, and this story is very much the same. Even though Reiji has gone out of his way to spell shit the fuck out for you, he still has the complexity there and doesn't spell everything out for you. Thinking is not my strong suit, lol. It's not just thinking, it's not thinking. Look, it's not thinking. You're looking at this the wrong way. You should really reframe your mindset. It's not thinking. It's knowing how to use your knowledge, right? It's about learning new things, and then trying to understand how to use those new things, right? Basically, you probably have the skill set, or you could build the skill set. You just need to know how to use it. Don't think to yourself, it's too hard to process all this, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I've thought for the longest time it's too hard to process all this. Hell, I was afraid of writing the hate video because I thought it was too hard to process all this. So don't think like that. Just tell yourself, okay, what can I learn here? Always just try to learn something new. Don't let school ruin learning for you. School ruined learning for me for the longest time, only for me to later realize this shit is fun as fuck. Learning is actually so fucking fun if you do it your own way and not the way school taught you, right? Like me talking about all this is me learning stuff over a very long period of time and watching a lot of things and reading a lot of different things and interacting with a lot of different people. Anyways, like, what is her end goal? You're meant to be confused. Reiji literally says Hawaiians is the mystery of mommy. That is the point. It is a suspense manga. In fact, the voice actors literally said Hawaiians feels more like a suspense manga than it does a romance manga, because that is the fucking point. Okay. She lies and deceives to literally every person she talks to. She always has ulterior motives. He's misspelled ulterior motives behind everything she does, but what's the goal? Okay, misspelling again. Getting back with Kazuya. There's other ways to do that. Her goal isn't to get back with Kazuya because she doesn't think she can be with him, but she's also villainizing him in her mind because he's betraying her like how her ex betrayed her, but she doesn't even realize that, and she's conflating her hatred, her freedom, and her love. And she literally says that in her backstory. And maybe I'm conflating love and freedom, and I can't tell the difference between the two. Mommy cannot understand and compartmentalize her feelings to understand what she's going through. There's other ways to do that, and if you don't like all this dumb rental girlfriend stuff he's doing, move on, do something else with your life. You see, this is what I mean. They're looking at the characters with their own lens of life rather than understanding the characters themselves. Basically, you're seeing the character how you want to see them, not who they actually are. It's like when people look at a painting and they're not seeing the truth the artist is putting down with their truth, their story. It's in a lot of ways a lack of empathy, right? It's in a lot of ways being apathetic towards another character. I think, is that a real word? Apathetic? Apathetic? I think it's a real word. Apathy. It's just apathy towards a character because you don't like them or because maybe you didn't connect with them. And that's why they don't understand. And so, like, we're halfway through the video, about halfway, and so far nothing he said has told me this manga is garbage. It's mostly him not understanding why characters do what they do and considering it bad. And this is going to become a repeating pattern with a lot of these videos who actually try to engage with this manga even if they don't understand it. Why did he misspell it? Chizuru? Why did he misspell it like that?
Okay. Out of the 4 characters I'll be talking about, Chizuru is the least bad. She's just so bland now. Like Mommy, I like Chizuru when I watched the anime, but when I read the manga, she was just on so much childish behavior when it involves her and Kazuya. These two are acting like middle schoolers.
If he's referring to Hawaiians, yeah, because she's literally suffering from grief and her character has broken down. If he's talking movie arc and everything before that, the fuck you talking about? So this tells me this is recency bias. The fact that he thinks Chizuru is a bland, boring character, that's recency bias, because Chizuru in Hawaiians and Chizuru in slightly pre-Hawaiians is by design, kind of slowly losing her character and therefore becoming a little kind of bland. And that's kind of the point. She's not supposed to be traditionally appealing. And if anything, that's kind of what the cohabitation arc does. It deconstructs that idea, it breaks it down and explores it.
When it comes to the topic of relationships. And not only relationships, but every time someone
like 2 chapters ago, is Kazuka someone special to you, or is he just a
asks her about the relationship between her and Kazuya, she won't even admit that he's more than a client. Like,
yeah, there's layers to this. For instance, what leverage does mommy have in this scene when she asked Chizuru this? What leverage does mommy have in this scene? That's right. Mommy is threatening to tell the family the truth. Okay, that shouldn't be a big deal if she actually likes Kazuya, right? Like, they could just turn that against her. Well, very simple. What did Chizuru do when her grandmother died? What was Chizuru's big conflict with her mother died? What was Chizuru's biggest fear when it comes to lying? Let me pull that up for you. If it'll load. Work with me, please. Thank you. Thank you. A little difficult there, buddy. You helped me see that too. I'm grateful to you. But somehow it's still hard for me to talk about, huh? If we tell Grandma Nagomi the truth and she finds out we lied to my grandma right up to the end, she'll look at us with contempt. Gee, I wonder why Chizuru can't admit she likes Kazuya to the one person who knows the truth and couldn't easily tell her grandmother. Kazuya's grandmother. It's almost like she doesn't want to be hated by the last kind of family she has left. And if she tells mommy this, that's it, right? And this is why Chizuru begins to doubt her love so goddamn much, to the fact that she has to investigate and understand her feelings. The reason she can't tell mommy the truth is because she knows mommy will fuck her up. She will go and tell, and she knows Chizuru is afraid, and she uses that against her constantly. And the one time Chizuru stands up to mommy, what does mommy do? Immediately goes to fucking out her to the grandmother that she is afraid will look at her with contempt. And what does Grandma Nagomi do when she finds out about Chizuru's job? Look at her with contempt. It's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that Chizuru already fucking knew would happen. Like, bro. I don't think that's a right word though. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe it's more accurately to say like it's something she already knew was going to happen, and it reflects the stigma and the shame of the job Chizuru works, and she knew how Grandma Nagomi might act, and she was afraid of that. And then, and in that same way, this is the other prophecy. I'll protect you, I swear. Well, guess what? Guess what? He does it. He does it. You're right. Haha. How are you going to manage that? You're not actually my boyfriend. You're actually Crow. What is this? Strong suit. Intelligence is not about the quantity of knowledge, it's about the application. Yeah, kind of. When I hear someone say that a character is bland, most times it's just a character that is non-toxic or doesn't make drama for the sake of it. That's a bit of a simplification. I think people think characters are bland when they're not immediately engaging them. And I do think there are many cases of actually bland characters. Usually a character to me, when they're actually bland, is when there is no real character actually happening. A great example of a bland character for me personally is Marin Kitagawa from Dress Up Darling after a certain point. Not immediately, not at the start, not at the start, not at the start. At the start, Marin is very interesting. But then after a certain point in the manga, Marin becomes a very, very boring character. She is not interesting anymore. I don't feel anything whenever she acts or reacts or does whatever. She doesn't feel like an actual character. That's when a character truly becomes bland for me, when they're not really characters anymore. Let's see. I really love bacon. No one is inevitably dumb. Some are complicitly dumb. Yeah, you choose to be dumb without realizing it sometimes. It's just a prediction. What's a Sankersh. What's just a prediction? What Chizuru thinks of Nagomi? What? Can you elaborate? I'm a little confused. Laura, drama can only work in small bursts and good build up. Without those things, it isn't impactful. Not necessarily. You can have slow building up drama. You can have effective drama. I think you can even have sudden drama. It's the execution. It's how you're right. It is. I do agree that it needs good build up. Small bursts, I don't necessarily agree. I think you can do whatever you want and execute it in any way you want, but how you do it is complicated. Um, what do you think about the Rent a Girlfriend anime? As I kind of like it. Also, I know it's a bit fast paced in storytelling. Also, what are your thoughts on character designs of Kazuya in the anime? So, I'm not a huge fan of Kazuya's design in the anime. I think Kana Hirayama, the character designer of the anime, can draw Kazuya well. I have seen her draw Kazuya well. Let me pull up one such case of her actually drawing Kazuya well. Um, I have it somewhere here. Let me find it. There it is. Come on. You can load. I believe in you. There we go. The way she draws Kazuya here is genuinely good. This is not how Kazuya looks in the manga. This is not how Kazuya looks in the manga. I actually, or not the manga, the anime. Um, Anime Kazuya to me looks weird. Um, One big thing I don't like about anime Kazuya's design is the eyes. Kazuya has very big expressive eyes in the manga that often contrast with smaller eyes. So here's Kazuya with like smaller eyes, but look at the size of his eyes in contrast to the size of his face. Um, Here he has very big fluffy hair, but his eyes feel much smaller because of it. Another thing I don't like is Kazuya's hair is too big and messy. And a lot of the times when he's shown in the anime, his clothes are very, very loose. And then the anime often does this thing where it makes him just look really weird, and I just don't like how he looks in the anime. Whereas in the manga, his clothes are like well fit. His hair is just short enough. It looks just nice enough. His eyes when they shrink, but they also get very big and expressive. The anime rarely does this effectively, in my opinion. Let's see, what else would you ask? I also know it's a bit fast paced in the story. The problem with the anime is not just that it's fast paced; it's that it trims a significant amount of Kazuya's character from the anime. You're only getting like half of Kazuya's story in the anime, and oftentimes it intentionally frames him negatively. It's actually quite frustrating. I don't dislike the anime. I think season one, from what I've rewatched so far, is like a 7 out of 10. Season one is like a 7 out of 10. Season two, I am not a huge fan. I don't like season two very much. I think season two has some good moments, but it fucks up a lot. And you really start to see a lot falling apart very, very quickly. And then season three, weirdly, I think season three is like one of the better seasons because it actually depicts Kazuya kind of well, but unfortunately, it also has some of the trimming that I really fucking despise, especially considering it's the movie arc, the arc that really highlights the best of Kazuya's character. And then they trim a shit ton of it out and they cram 64 plus chapters into 12 episodes, which is baffling considering how much dialogue there is. What about Chizuru? I don't like the character designs of Kazuya in the anime. Okay, all the female characters in Rent a Girlfriend anime are perfect. Absolute fucking perfection. Holy shit. Kana is a god at drawing female characters. Like literally, it's the same. Kana and Reiji have very similar strength, except Kana makes very beautiful men really well, but she's not very good at drawing like simpler guys like Kazuya. At least I don't think. I could be wrong. But like the way I've seen her draw the Oshinoko characters, like she's very good at that, right? But they're all very beautiful characters. Yeah, I think she is a god at drawing female characters, but I am not a fan of her Kazuya design. I'm not a big fan of her Kazuya design. I think she can draw Kazuya well sometimes, But in the anime, that's not how Kazuya looks. The anime kind of downgrades a lot of things, even character clothes, side things, because you can tell Reishi puts a lot of effort in. Yeah, like there are things the anime just simply cannot replicate to the same quality as the manga. It literally fucking can't. That's just a thing. It just can't. Um, but and you can understand why. But there's sometimes where they like change colors or they change certain things where I think they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Like Chizuru's first swimsuit in the beach arc is meant to parallel her swimsuit in the Hawaiians arc. So them changing the color of the swimsuit, but now creates a contradiction where there isn't a parallel and it's not trying to make you think of that arc anymore. Um, even though there is direct parallels to the two. Also, there's thematic purpose to the clothes coloring and the designs and stuff, and they of course change that like all the time. I don't think it's particularly bad. Like I don't think those things are bad. I just think it like makes some continuity issues. And yes, they do trim a lot too. Do you like how Reiji's art style gets better or changed throughout the series? Yes, I always enjoy it. I do think he's simplified things a little bit because he kind of really had to. Like, are you fucking kidding? Doing this on a weekly basis and drawing with the same art style that he did at the beginning of the series is fucking insanity. And I'm kind of glad he found a way to do it and still keep things very pretty without like killing himself. The anime did too to little to Kazuya to fish too. The anime did too little to Kazuya's fish too. I'm not sure what you mean. Like do you mean Fish-kun? Okay.
Come on, man. Y'all been doing this for more than a year. You can't even say that he's a friend? I know she doesn't mean it, but...
What do you mean? She says they're like close, but she's trying to keep distance with mommy for a reason.
Every time she gets asked what is Kazuya to you, she acts like a child. She a grown-ass woman, and she's acting like this.
What the fuck? No. Gee. Okay, who remembers this scene? What happened in this scene? Kazuya talks to Umi. Kazuya comes up to Chizuru, and he tells Chizuru about the conversation him and Umi had. And it's literally Umi pretty much telling Kazuya that she likes him. Like secondhand, and Kazuya doesn't know that he just said that. Why do you think she freaks out like that? Umi literally just dropped her confession to Kazuya without him knowing. And she freaks the fuck out. Who wouldn't?
She used to be such an entertaining character, but nowadays she just acts like a middle schooler, and also every time she has fun now, she just thinks, fun? I remember I used to have fun with my grandma. Yeah, she...
I'm not even going to comment on that. That's just... I wonder why she would think about her grandma. I wonder why. Is this rage bait? No, he genuinely means it. He genuinely means it. He thinks her character has devolved and broken down. It's almost like, wait for it. Wait for it. That's the fucking point. That's what grief is.
She kind of sucks now, but she's at least miles better than the next character I'll be talking about.
He's escaping! The killer is escaping! Help me!
Kazuya is the worst main character in anything I've ever watched or read, and I feel like it's universally agreed on that he's terrible. And if you're still watching this and have no idea who he is, which thank you for staying this long, you deserve the best massage from the prettiest Asian. Imagine a man that pays for a hub membership. A man that subscribes to OnlyFans accounts. A man that sits down when he pees. A man that pays a girl streamer his life savings just so she can say his name. The biggest beta male you could think of. That's Kazuya. This man is the dumbest, most annoying simp I've ever seen. I'm not even going to list out specific things he does in the story because we could literally be here all day, nigga. Because it's every single chapter, every single episode. I'm just going to talk about his character as a whole. So, Kazuya is super pathetic, he jerks off to pictures of his ex, doesn't know how to talk to a girl without fantasizing about her body, and just doesn't know how to talk to them, period, lets his ex talk shit about him in front of him and all of his friends, rents a girlfriend, pays hundreds of dollars a month on his rent-a-girlfriend, so much so that he has to get a job to pay off these dates. This is just a sad excuse of a man, and that's coming from me. But that's fine. You could be a loser and a pathetic character while also being well written. You could make him work, but the author writes him like he wants you to hate Kazuya. Cause one, the man doesn't develop at all. Whenever you think he learned something, he forgets.
Most of you watch my channel, right? Do I need to explain why I don't agree with any of this? Most of you watch my channel, right? Do I need to explain why I don't agree with any of this? I think she's reacting a little bit childish just because she had to mature faster due to her grandparents dead. Her mom's her maturity broke down because she literally, like, the maturity is a guise for someone who has had to act mature her whole life, and she had to finally like turn that off a little bit and be kind of childish and stupid. But then it also reflects her not actually knowing how to deal with these scenarios when her character has broken down. Kazuya is such a misunderstood character. It's just painful, beginning with the fact that he has clearly very low self-esteem. It's not just low self-esteem. He's been socially conditioned by the people around him, like that he isn't good enough, right? So, okay, here, let's look at this.
One, the man doesn't develop at all. Whenever you think he learned something, he forgets it the next chapter.
How did Kazuya forget? I wish I had a girlfriend. Life returns to... Why would him wishing to have a girlfriend be him going backwards? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with you desiring a girlfriend? What is wrong with you wanting a partner? How is this Kazuya going back? Like he in this chapter, Kazuya wakes up, beats his meat, and then wishes he had a girlfriend. What's wrong with that? Half of you fuckers do that every day. How did he go back here? I don't see how Kazuya went back here in any way, shape, or form. Like, what? So whenever you beat your meat and you wish you had a girlfriend, you somehow regressed as a character? What's the logic here? How does this fit? I don't get it. What's the logic here? Oh my god, Kazuya letting Mayumi talk shit about it is almost like he's gasped. Compassionate. It's not just compassionate, he loves her so much, he doesn't even care if she shit talks him because in some way, shape, or form, he believes this. And that's sad. That's a tragic part of Kazuya's character, that he believes these things, but he also doesn't care if he literally tells her, I don't care if you shit talk me because I like you that much, but don't you dare shit talk Chizuru. Because she actually works hard. She's actually someone who puts her foot forward and actually fucking tries in her life. Like, don't you dare shit talk her. And it shows how Kazuya is willing to even stand up to someone he loves when he believes they are genuinely wrong. When they are doing something morally wrong in his belief system, he will fight Mommy. He will be like, no, what you're saying is wrong. I refuse. And Mommy legit like backed off. She's like, whoa, holy shit. Right? Not all king, we get Kazuya, but if you want to explain, go off. For the noobs, please explain. I know why, but for those who don't, who might come across later, go off king, only if you want to. Well, they hate Kazuya because he isn't a self-insert, idolized version of masculinity. Yeah, that's a huge part of it, too. Like, what's wrong with Kazuya renting a girlfriend? Nothing. There's literally nothing wrong with it. If anything, the story actually goes out of his way to explain like the various stages of Kazuya renting a girlfriend. Only in the very beginning of the series does he rent her for selfish reasons, right? Then he frames it like Kazuya spends his money on Chizuru just because he wants her to say his name. Well, if you clearly haven't read the story because Chizuru doesn't say his name at all. She actually actively avoids saying his name. The reason, okay, so after he initially rents her in the very beginning of the story, he starts to rent her for his family. He rents her so he can keep up that lie with his family, right? He's still kind of a coward early on, right? But then that slowly starts to transform. In particular, it transforms after the beach trip. He starts to rent Chizuru because he starts doing things that he could never imagine himself doing. In particular, jumping off of a ferry to save someone. That's some heroic shit, right? You don't like dive off of a fucking ferry to save someone from drowning. That's heroic shit. Kazuya has never viewed himself as a hero, as someone who can do something like that. So he literally tells Chizuru, I want to keep renting you, not for my family, but because I see a version of myself I've never seen before. I want to rent a part of who you are. And it's like, holy shit. In that, in literally, in the span of like 20 chapters by that point, Kazuya had transformed, like, the reason he rents Chizuru for 3 different ways, right? His reasoning literally transformed for multiple different reasons in that time. And then, as we continue the story, Kazuya finds out about Chizuru's dream. And when Chizuru wants to end, she tells him she's gonna stop doing rental. He tells her, okay, that's fine. It's all right. Put yourself first. Put yourself first. I know what you have to do. I knew this wasn't going to last, and that's perfectly fine. I want you to be happy, right? He puts himself to the side. In that moment, Kazuya had already started to change, even though he told her he in his mind, he's thinking, I want to be with her. He said, no, it's fine. If her career moves forward, if she wants to stop this, good for her. Let her be happy. Go off, queen. Do what you want to do. No one ever addresses this. And then, when it comes to the movie, when Kazuya sees the movie, and then he sees, or not the movie, the play, and he sees how amazing Chizuru is as an actress, and he thinks to himself, like, holy shit, she's so amazing. And then she comes to him and she tells him she didn't get the part she was going to get, she can't quit the rental job, and now she thinks she's a failure. He gets upset and tells her, you're a fucking idiot, you're not a failure, you're fucking amazing, and I will rent you constantly to prove to you how amazing you are. I will literally fund your movie so you succeed as a person because you are that fucking amazing, and I refuse to believe you think otherwise. Don't you dare give up on this dream. Don't you dare say you'll give up on this dream. Keep fucking going, right? And literally because of this, he snaps Chizuru out of her depression a little bit. He actually makes her feel a little bit better. And that becomes Kazuya's fuel. It becomes this double meaning where he, on one hand, is experiencing these things he never got to experience, which is another facet of rental. A lot of people never address what rental really is to a lot of people. They just compare it to prostitution. That's all they view it as. It's just prostitution, right? In reality, rental has many, many layers. In particular, it has the layer of allowing people to experience something they have lost or have not been able to experience in some way, or to reclaim experiences they have lost. For instance, the reason people might rent a girlfriend is because maybe they never had a girlfriend. They never got to have that experience, so they get to live that experience in some way, shape, or form. Yes, there are people who will do this just because they're maybe weak, pathetic, or horny, or something like that. But then there are other people who do it for different reasons. And then you have a great chapter with Nagomi in chapter 309, where Nagomi hangs out with Chizuru, and they get to do all sorts of fun stuff. And Nagomi literally tells Chizuru, I misunderstood your job. I projected my own bias onto your job. I did not understand what the fuck your job was, and I judged it by the worst of it when that's not even representative of the job. I got to reclaim a part of my childhood. I have not felt this young since I was a kid, right? She see literally this old grandmother hanging out with like a 20-year-old literally says, I feel like a teenager because I am with you. That is part of what rental is, right? But all people can perceive it as is this, right? So when Kazuya is renting Chizuru at that time, he's funding her career. He is supporting her willingly knowing this, and Chizuru has to slow him down, be like, yo, don't spend so much, right? But he's like, no, I will do this, and he even clears it up with Ruka. He's like, no, I'm going to support Chizuru. I am going to spend on her because I want to support her dream, and I don't care what you say. And he literally fights Ruka on this. He's like, no, I'm gonna do this. And he keeps doing it, not for his family, not because he's selfish, but because he wants to support Chizuru. It is the epitome of selflessness. Like, he's doing this because he cares about her that much, right? Not because he wants her to say his name or some deep, dumb shit like this person is explaining. That is asinine. You are absolutely simplifying Kazuya's character and his motivation. You literally could not perceive what the fuck he's saying or thinking or even feeling as a person. It is frustrating to think that Kazuya is that simple to you, that, oh, all he wants is like a girlfriend and he's just a stupid simp loser. When, like, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. A lot of people are pretty okay with a simp. I'm gonna be real. I would simp over my girlfriend. If I had a girlfriend, I would simp over my girlfriend. I haven't had a relationship in a while. Be clear with you. I've been kind of busy just paying off bills and living my life. But I'm gonna be real with you. If I had a girlfriend, I would simp over her too. Like, so fucking what? What's wrong with simping over the girl that you love? I would fucking put her on a goddamn pedestal. Sure, I would challenge her and I would fight her on things, yes. But I would put her on a goddamn pedestal. I fucking love my girlfriend, right? What the fuck's wrong with that? What the fuck is wrong with supporting women? So when you go on a stream and you pay a creator because you like them, there's nothing wrong with it if it's a guy, but if it's a girl, there's a problem suddenly. Do you see the kind of undertone of misogyny that's kind of at play here? Whether this person realizes it or not, right? People can be misogynistic and not realize they are being misogynistic. Because why is Kazuya a simp and a loser for supporting a woman, but then the woman is cool and interesting in contrast to Kazuya himself, despite the job that she works? Do you see how it's like reverse misogyny, where it's like, you're not realizing you're disliking the woman's job by disliking that the man is supporting that job, right? And this is how misogyny affects men too, right? A lot of people don't realize this. Like, you think if you don't like men, it's just misandry. No, by having misandry, you actually affect women too, and by having misogyny, you also affect men too. And the person doesn't realize that their bias is fueling the negativity that they are projecting onto this character. That Kazuya is weak and pathetic because he is not acting traditionally masculine, when, as I have explained in my many fucking videos, Kazuya is a deconstruction of masculinity. Kazuya is a fundamental deconstruction of masculinity and what it is to be a man. That is Kazuya's character. Kazuya deconstructs and challenges what it means to be a man. And there's the reason all these women love him and like him and want to be around him, because they fucking feel safe around him, right? He doesn't feel dangerous. He's not using them. He's not cold and calculating. He doesn't shut off his emotions. He's passionate and he fucking cares. And he's always trying to be there for people, even if he sometimes looks like a loser, even if he sometimes looks pathetic, he still fights for what he believes is right, right? And you see that in the end of Hawaiians. Kazuya, having his heart broken, is hurt by the person that he loves, still wants her to be happy, and will not let his family to make her out to be some sort of villain. He will not let them hurt her. If that means he takes a bullet for her, he fucking will. And Kazuya turns his entire family against him. He's like, you know what? Direct your anger at me. At that point in the story, Kazuya feels so powerless to do or make any real change. So what does he do? He directs all their hatred, all of their anger at himself. Hate me, be mad at me. I am the problem. She's not the problem. I did this. I'm the problem. And it's desperate and it's weak, but he's on his knees. He's fucking crying and he's still trying. And no one ever discusses this, right? Like, they say chapter 218, Kazuya's character completely regressed, when literally a few chapters later, he immediately goes to defending the girl. Immediately. No. You know what? Fuck all of you. Every single one of you is wrong. I don't care if I look like the most pathetic person on the planet. You don't get to talk shit about her. Like, to me, Kazuya is the absolute fucking Chad. None of these other main characters who embody traditional masculinity, who can fight, who can do cool shit, are as cool as Kazuya. Kazuya has more balls than any of them, right? Because he is willing to look pathetic. He is willing to look like a complete jackass. If it means that he makes his dream come true, if it means he keeps the people he loves safe, if it means the people he loves are happy, he is willing to look like a complete fucking idiot. And none of the men these days have the balls to do this. None of you fuckers have the balls to look like a fucking weakling for the people that you love. You would gladly look strong for them. You would gladly put your fear aside to look strong for them. But you would never let yourself look weak so they can be strong. That is the difference between Kazuya and other characters. That is why he is cool. That is why Kazuya is cool and Umi is a wet puppy dog, a sad wet puppy dog. Because Umi can't not look cool. He has to look cool. Umi as a character has to look cool. He tries to look cool in every scenario instead of putting the people around him first. He is desperate to be cool because if he's not cool, he's not traditionally masculine. Umi is defined by the world he lives in, whereas Kazuya challenges it, even if he doesn't realize he's doing it. That to me is why Kazuya is one of the best male characters in any fucking story, in any fucking romance I have ever fucking read. Okay? Kazuya finds his happiness. Oh god, there's a bit of writing happening. Kazuya is one of the most grounded male rom-coms out of here. What about Tanjiro? Examples of Deku from My Hero. Also, people like Tanjiro as well. What about Tanjiro and Deku? I like Tanjiro and Deku. I think Tanjiro is a bit like simple, but I really like Deku. I think Deku is a fantastic character. Kazuya is a comedic anchor of the show and is so endearing. Yeah, right? And like when that comedy fades, that's when the story truly gets dark. Right? When Kazuya isn't comedic anymore, that's when the story really just got dark. Kazuya finds his happiness through Chizuru's happiness, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you can find your happiness through other people. There's nothing wrong with that. In some ways, you're still defining your own happiness that way, right? You can still find like things for yourself past that, but there's nothing wrong with feeling happiness from someone else being happy. What good written characters don't regress every now and then? Yeah, no shit. If your character does not regress at any point, that's actually kind of lazy writing. I'm sorry. Characters need to regress. That is part of character writing. I always thought if Chizuru had a different job, people wouldn't be so dense. Yeah, no, for sure. I've mentioned this many times before. Just the title alone bleeds into the idea of stigma and shame, and Reiji knows this. He has said this in interviews. We remember the interview we had like 2 streams ago? That is part of this. Like, for example, Chizuru having a bakery and Kazuya deciding to buy her product. Yeah, people wouldn't think so badly of that, would they? And they know this, and this is why Reiji intentionally compares Chizuru's job to sex work, because he knows the stigma around sex work, even though people participate in it and perpetuate it willingly. Don't get me wrong, I think her job is okay and nothing wrong with it. I didn't think you meant anything. Kazuya exemplifies unconditional love to his highest form. The worst love declaration ever, not even close. Aw. That's not weak, though. Kazuya taking a metaphorical bullet for Chizuru takes amazing strength. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Exactly. It reminds me that manga cover of illustration that shows Kazuya feeding his fish, and it says exactly that, unconditional love. Yeah, and it's the chapter where Kazuya does what he does, where he turns his family against him. Quick question, since you've seen both, which one is better, Subaru or Kazuya? Kazuya, without question. Subaru is not... I don't dislike Subaru's character. I don't think he's a bad character. I actually like Subaru for the most part, but I do think Subaru is kind of an ass. The difference between Subaru and Kazuya is that Subaru had to learn the hard way he's a piece of shit. Subaru had to learn the hard way he was a piece of shit. The point of Subaru's character is that he's a piece of shit, and then he becomes a better person. Kazuya is not a piece of shit. Kazuya is depressed, sad, and confused and lost on who he is, and he finds his sense of self through Chizuru. Right, he finds out who he really is through Chizuru and confronts some of these toxic traits that he has. But Subaru goes to a fantasy world to live a fantasy, and he doesn't care about anything, and then he starts getting killed over and over and over to be like, you're a fucking idiot. You need to wake the hell up. And I kind of don't like that the anime of ReZero, or just ReZero in general, like teaches Subaru by killing him over and over. I do like some of its messaging, in particular, like how it criticizes terrible men and shit like that. But I do think like some of the way it's written is weird. Like some of the dialogue is even weird to listen to, even in Japanese. Like it's just like, what the fuck are you saying? Why are you talking like this? Like the way they talk, it feels too fantastical, too unrealistic and weird. And I'm not like saying it's a bad show. It's just a personal pet peeve. I don't know if this is like something you like or dislike. I just think like Subaru to me is not as interesting as a character as Kazuya. And I say this for a very simple reason. I watched ReZero when I was depressed, around the same time as I was depressed with Rent-A-Girl. Like if you guys remember my story from before, like when I was depressed and I watched ReZero, it didn't have the same impact as Rent-A-Girlfriend. It didn't have that impact on me, but Rent-A-Girlfriend did. And it's because ReZero is not about the same stuff. Rent-A-Girlfriend is about acceptance. Rent-A-Girlfriend is about seeing people and accepting them. ReZero is about calling people the fuck out and telling them to wake the fuck up and stop being shitheads, right? Their approach is fundamentally different from each other. ReZero fundamentally challenges and calls people out constantly. Rent-A-Girlfriend is about seeing and accepting people and calling those people out who use that calling out thing to perpetuate the shitty behavior, right? Rent-A-Girlfriend is a fundamental subversion, whereas ReZero is like breaking everything with a sledgehammer. It's like Reiji is teaching through love, whereas ReZero is teaching through pain. I think that's the best way I can describe it, and that's why ReZero doesn't click the same way for me. I watched ReZero when I was depressed. It didn't help me, but I watched Rent-A-Girlfriend when I was depressed, and it actually really helped heal me. And it's because it's a story that meets you with compassion and kindness and acceptance, whereas ReZero tries to teach you with pain. And that's kind of why I'm not a huge fan of ReZero in terms of like the messaging here, but I don't think ReZero is a bad story, right? I don't think ReZero is a bad story. I just don't like some of its presentation and messaging a little bit. That's all. I was talking about male characters that are not conventionally masculine. The Majin Vegeta arc. Oh yeah, no, yeah, hell yeah, Cyber Demon, hell yeah. Vegeta regressing as a character and then actually finding himself. That was Vegeta's true character arc. Vegeta really kind of did not progress as a character until the Majin Vegeta arc. That's when Vegeta truly accepted his change and actually changed as a character and came to a true resolution and like actually accepted, I'm not the main character. Goku is. I understand that now, and I'm okay with it. And that's when Vegeta truly became the Vegeta that we know. That's when Vegeta actually fucking changed as a character. That was Vegeta's true character arc. It's so sad that Dragon Ball is like one of those stories where people don't see the actual character writing there. Vegeta really became a character then. If people think Kazuya is a simp, then Subaru is a giga simp. Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, why is Subaru in love with Emilia? They don't ever like highlight or explain it properly. Like, why the fuck is Subaru in love with? I'm gonna turn on the lights. It's a little dark. It's a little dark. Oh my god, you can see me again. You can see me again. Oh my god. Move this here just so I can see it a little more clearly. There we go. Okay. Yeah, do you think Kazuya needs to be more expressive and pulling off her thoughts when he is with Chizuru? Well, that's the point of this arc. Kazuya eventually reaching that point where he can truly be expressive and being himself. That's the point. I like ReZero, but sometimes it's too prolific. It's not just too prolific. It's hard to explain like the weird feeling I have from ReZero. I don't dislike it though. Okay, that's a great way to say it. ReZero through pain, girlfriend through love. That's why ReZero doesn't have that much appeal to me. My friends keep trying to get me to watch it, but there's just not that much of an appeal to me. But I don't doubt that it's good, right? Like I showed ReZero to my friends. They didn't fucking care for it. I showed ReZero to my friends. They did not give a shit. The only reason they watched is because I was excited for like season 2 when it was coming out. And they're like, they just did not want to watch it with me. They didn't care. They had more interest in watching the Fate movies. And the Fate movies have like a bunch of random canon shit, but they had like, they wanted to watch that more than ReZero. Like it's not for everyone. Umi couldn't have done the movie for Chizuru. Yeah, no, not in that way. He could have, but not in the way that Chizuru would have liked. As I have noticed that at the start, Kazuya doesn't keep much of her thoughts to himself only, but as the story progresses, Kazuya starts holding her thoughts, questioning them themselves. Can you write that again, Art? I'm a little confused on what you mean. The pain associated with ReZero made me connect him a lot more. Made me connect. Sure, him a lot more bad made the story more exciting, but I see where you're coming from. It sort of started with future Trunks' death at Cell's hands. Yeah, that was kind of the big moment where it's like Vegeta really fucking fucked up, and he realized he fucked up, and he admitted he messed up, and he cheated, right? This character who refuses to cheat, he like fights all his battles with honor, is like, no, fuck you. You killed my kid, and because of you, I made a mistake, and we all could have died. I'm gonna cheat. And he fucking cheats. And that's why they win. He gives Gohan that chance to win because Vegeta threw his pride aside for fucking once. That's when it really kind of started. I prefer Mushoku Tensei more than ReZero. I find it fucking hilarious that people will praise Mushoku Tensei to heaven and back when I would argue Rudy is a much shittier character than Kazuya. Not in writing, not writing wise. Like, he's actually a shittier person than Kazuya. And yet people will glaze the shit out of him because he has powers and is more traditional and gets more women and doesn't do like the things Kazuya does. Like, Rudy is actually more traditionally masculine. And nobody addresses like the weird like fact that he's like a grown-ass man simping over girls that are much younger than him, and it's fucking weird. It's the same issue I have with what is it, Oshinoko, where people are like trying to ship Aqua with all these younger girls, and I'm like, we do realize he's a grown-ass man, and this is fucking weird, right? And it feels like the story almost highlights that to you, whereas with Mushoku Tensei, it really kind of doesn't. And don't get me wrong, I do like Mushoku Tensei. I just think it's a very morally gray and gross story, and I just find it extremely ironic that Mushoku Tensei is praised so much for its morally gray writing, yet the Rent-A-Girlfriend does something almost identical, if not better, and people cannot see that. It's just really funny to me because this story focuses more on like actually subverting and calling things out. Oh yeah, Rudy's a piece of shit, but I still love the series. Lol. Yeah, no, I agree. He's mad creepy. He's like a 40-year-old dude. Yeah. No, Mushoku Tensei is dog, and I truly mean dog shit. Ragen Zero, smoke it easily. No, I genuinely think Mushoku Tensei is a good story. I do think it's actually good. I think it does some stuff really well. Your favorite shonen? What's my favorite shonen? Well, Rent-A-Girlfriend is a shonen, so it would be my favorite shonen. If you mean shonen battle manga, I don't know. I guess One Piece. Because I'm still reading One Piece. I really liked One Piece when I started. I don't know if I have like a current favorite shonen battle manga. Rudius is garbage character. The story just gives him whatever he wants. No, the story does challenge him. He's not. No, I don't fully agree. In my country, people tend to slander characters like Kazuya, Rudius, Subaru, but worship Ayakanoji, Futuro, and Aryu. Futuro is like the most bland nothing character. Uryu. Wait, which one is that? Uryu. That's not. Yeah, is that Uryu from Bleach? I mean, Uryu from Bleach is kind of a Chad. Wait, Bleach does actually have its own literal Chad. And then Aokinoji, it's such a twist. People liking Aokinoji from Something Classroom is so twisted to me. That's so fucked up to me that they like this character and worship him when he is a manipulator. He is a manipulator. That character manipulates people and like gaslights people and uses people. He's so twisted. Like, it's so messed up that people glaze that dude. He is so twisted. Mushoku technically superb, the animation, I mean. The only thing in terms of animation that I hate about Mushoku Tensei is that bread animation people love to show. The one where he's like tearing the bread like this. It looks gross. I will never fucking like it. That's the only thing I'm gonna say about that animation. That's the only thing I don't hate. Rudy is a disgusting character. The only reason he sometimes doesn't harass girls is because he knows that it's not going to work on his favor. He knows he needs to show respect, but never means it. I don't fully agree with that. I think Rudy, over a good period of time, learns to wake the fuck up and actually respect the women around him. And he's so mindful of it that he like sees that later in the story when he like wants to marry a second wife and he knows it would hurt his current wife. Um, and like he's being very mindful, but like it's really not that simple. Rudy is a very broken character. And yes, you are right. Initially, he is very much like that. He does not respect women because he wants to, but he does get better and actually learn and change. My problem with him is that people are okay with him for the most part, but don't realize how shitty he actually is. But also because of that, sometimes the people who do realize that don't see that he actually changes. Johan, you got to read Windbreaker. Let me double check which one is Windbreaker. Windbreaker. Oh, so interesting note, 3D Live. For Windbreaker, I actually have a client who wants to cover it. So I'm actually going to have to either watch it or read it eventually. So yeah, I'm going to do it eventually. Dragon Ball has a lot of character changes and progression, but it's funny enough, none of it's romance based. Oh yeah, Akira Toriyama has openly said he fucking sucks at writing romance. Said, past tense, unfortunately. Yeah, he openly said like he fucking sucks at writing romance. Kind of why I like Rag so much. It's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of focus. Boo. Wait, what are we booing? What are we booing, Kotaro? Zuko is the best character redemption arc in pop culture, better than Anakin Skywalker. Counterpoint, Zuko is not going through a redemption arc. Zuko is going through a reverse hero arc. Zuko is not a villain. He is a character who is trying to go through a hero arc and not seeing his path clearly, and then eventually he sees his clear path. It's not a redemption arc, it's a reverse hero arc. He's not being redeemed. He's actually becoming a hero. And it was that way from the beginning of the story. Go and rewatch the very beginning of Avatar: The Last Airbender. They actively, consistently parallel Zuko with Aang's journey. Consistently. And it's because they're reaching the same destination through the reverse ways. That's the point. Every time Zuko is challenged in some way, shape, or form, he is being challenged by his uncle to be better. Constantly. Be better. Be better for the people around you. Be better. Do not be defined by this negative aspect of your character. He is literally becoming a hero all throughout the story. He's not a villain. Zuko was the antagonistic figure, yes, but he was not the villain. Uryu from Amagami Sisters. Ugh. I mean, Uryu is like kind of okay. I watched I watched a bit of Amagami Sisters and I got bored after a while and just dropped it. Sorry, not sorry. It was very pretty, but I got bored. But he had some interesting character writing, but he is literally just the most generic main rom-com character ever. Like he's literally, if you swapped him and Futaro in some little aspects, they wouldn't be that different. Like him and Futaro are very, very similar. He is twisted, but the entire series is twisted as well. Oh, Mushoku Tensei. The school full of smart people that built the system of constant competition and don't know if people like this show for the development. I just like the series for the thriller entertainment. I heard, if you're talking about Classroom of the Elite, I heard that the show fucking butchers it. The manga, or not the manga, the novels are extremely political, and they have a lot to say, and the show just butchers it and turns it into a thrill ride. And the author, from what I know, hates it. The author fucking hates the show, like a lot. Do you like the Naruto anime? I liked a good chunk of Naruto. There are things that didn't age well. There are a lot of things that I liked a lot too. I think Naruto does a lot well. I don't like the war arc. I don't like how the anime handles filler. Like the way they just throw in random shit and it's fucking dumb. Okay, we gotta finish this. I've been talking for too long. We gotta finish this.
After, and when he finally feels like telling the truth, he wants to tell it at the worst possible times. Like wanted to say Chizuru and his relationship was a lie on Grandma Chizuru's deathbed and at that dinner party. Of course, he doesn't say anything in neither.
What's okay? The dinner party. The reason he almost does it at the dinner party is because he's literally feeling guilt as a byproduct of being a victim of fucking assault. Ruka assaulted him. And out of guilt that she is younger than him, that he is doing something wrong, he tries to step up and be like, I have to resolve this now. It's wrong. And this is literally an act of guilt. He is doing this because he feels it's literally victim guilt. He feels bad that Ruka did what she did, and he wants to end it so nothing like this happens again. When he wants to tell Sayuri on her deathbed the truth, it is a moral conundrum. It is a moral conundrum. If a person is dying and you lie to them there for a very long time, do you tell them the truth, or do you let them die knowing you lied to them and you never told them anything? Which is morally correct? It is a moral conundrum. Neither of these is wrong. Neither of these scenes are wrong. You're welcome to be mad. You're welcome to disagree, but neither of these scenes are wrong.
Those situations because this story doesn't develop, but I'll be talking about that in a second, don't worry. But this man doesn't have a brain, and also whenever him and Chizuru have a perfect moment for confession and he doesn't, it's like he forgets every moment that him and Chizuru have ever had, acting like he hasn't known her for more than a year, thinking his relationship is nothing more than a rental relationship.
Why is he still renting her? This was the last time he rented her at that point in the story. He rented her because Chizuru would not open up to him. Did he not read this cheer update and the point of the cheer update? Chizuru literally puts up a fucking wall the size of Ba Sing Se and just says, I'm fine. You don't need to worry about me. And just Kazuya has no way to connect or talk to her. And she literally puts up a barrier of you're a client and I am a rental and it is cool. And he wants to help and he doesn't know how. So what does he do? He rents her. The only way he can connect and reach out to her. The thing that connected them from the very beginning. He rents her again. Why are we...
Relationship.
Oh my...
Ha! What, my guy? It's like this man has the memory of Joe Biden. Mr. President, Mr. President. Why is the government slowly running out of money? Like this man doesn't fucking...
Okay, that was kind of funny. as an avid Joe Biden hater, that was kind of funny.
Learn. And on top of being a pathetic loser, he's also a terrible friend to the only friend that actually cares about him, Kibe. Kazuya is always getting pissed.
Kibe. Oh boy. It's not like Kibe really pushed Kazuya away in so many points in the story to the point that Kazuya had to lash out. It's not like Kibe guilt-tripped his friend when his friend wanted to open up to him and made it very difficult, and that's why Kazuya lied in the end. It's not like Kibe realized he was being a shitty friend and tried to keep his distance and only occasionally give advice after the 3-month time skip. Nope.
Pissed off at Kibe when Kibe actually tells him good advice on what he should do in his relationships, and Kazuya's getting all mad and thinking, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know the situation.
But Kazuya is literally right here. Okay, do you want to know the problem with this scene with Kazuya before they go to Hawaiians and Kazuya tries to talk to him and Kazuya keeps saying he doesn't know, he doesn't understand. Kibe doesn't get it. It's because Kazuya is just trying to open up to him. He just wants someone to confide in who will not judge him, who will not be angry at him. He just wants someone to talk to. He wants a mini, essentially, right? Don't you want a friend who's not gonna just like be mad at you and like make you like get angry at you for feeling things or doing something wrong? You want a friend who will listen to you. Maybe they'll judge you a little bit, but they're your friend. You feel a sense of safety with them. I'm gonna go to work now. Bye, Faye. Take care, Kotaro. Have a good day. Yeah, don't you want a friend like that? That's what Kibe was doing wrong here. Kibe was saying the right things, right? But he's not giving his friend space to talk. He's making him feel guilty. That's the problem. He's telling Kazuya this stuff about Nagomi, and it's not inherently wrong, but he's making Kazuya feel uncomfortable, dude. Like, he's not letting him open up to him.
He's stupid. He doesn't know. He doesn't get it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Even though Kazuya doesn't tell him anything about his situation ever, like, what do you expect? Why are you giving him shit for something that you won't tell him? This man is just giving me migraines. Other than
It's almost like that happened because Kibe doesn't let Kazuya talk to him, and that's why Kazuya doesn't tell him anything. And still doesn't tell him anything.
in those two small things that I mentioned at the start of the video, he's the most annoying and I can't talk, frustrating character to watch. I don't want to talk about this dude no more. All four of these characters are bad. Anyways, let's talk about Sumi.
You just said Sumi was good. You just said Chizuru was good and then didn't like her, and now she's a bad character suddenly? What the fuck happened there, huh?
Quick, she's probably my favorite character in Rent-A-Girlfriend right now. Because her and Kibe, because they're the only characters that don't make me want to get my eyes pierced.
He likes Kibe, oh boy.
But that's because they're barely in it. I guarantee you if they were shown more, the author would find some way to fuck them up too. Anyways, let's move on.
Gigok says this verbatim.
To the main thing that makes this series terrible. So the basic plot of Rent-A-Girlfriend is that Kazuya and Chizuru are faking their boyfriend-girlfriend relationships for both of their families because Kazuya rented her while being seen by them. But now they like each other for realsies, but both of them are too pussy to confess. So now us as an audience wait for that confession to happen because that's the main plot. Okay, anime-only watchers. Remember the last episode of Rent-A-Girlfriend? At the end of the episode, Kazuya finally confesses to her and we're just like, ah, finally! This man actually has balls. Good job. Good on him. And then he was like, oh, nah, that was a joke. And then they play it off like nothing happened. Remember how pissed off you felt at that moment? Well, what if I told you they did it another time? And another time. And another time. And another time. And they still do this to this day. 100-something chapters later. This manga has no development. A grandma with Alzheimer's and wooden knees moves faster than this manga's plot. The story is always running in circles, not progressing anything. I'm about to tell you all the beats to the average Rent-A-Girlfriend chapter using this meme I found on IG that tells it very accurately.
Oh,
Step
I fucking
1,
hate this
disregard
meme.
cliffhanger from the last chapter.
Correction, subvert cliffhanger from last chapter, but actually always consider it. You've actually just been misdirected. Continue.
Because every chapter ends on a cliffhanger that makes you think, oh, will they, won't they, oh, I don't know. And then the first few pages of the next chapter is just forgotten about or just brushed over.
Correct, not forgotten about, actually almost always comes back in some way, shape, or form. Right, 15 pages of filler, pointless dialogue between characters of Kazuya's inner monologues. Almost every single piece of Kazuya's inner monologues is relevant to Kazuya's feelings. The situation actually informs us in some way, shape, or form. It is not filler. Every single piece of dialogue actually matters, and Reiji actively, always, consistently brings it back.
Step 2, write 15 pages of filler. Most of these 15 pages of filler are just like Kazuya just going, oh, Chizuru, she's so pretty, she's so nice. Oh man, look.
Every single time Kazuya does this in some way, shape, or form, there's actually meaning and purpose to it. He's not just simply saying she's pretty and nice. Each time it changes and introduces something new about Kazuya that he sees about Chizuru, whether it be something he's learning, whether it be something he's going to learn, whether it be little pieces of detail that actually foreshadow what's going to happen later.
Look at her sexy body, ooh. And then the rest of the filler is just dialogue that doesn't matter. It's just random chit-chat. This series actually gives me hemorrhoids.
Very rarely there's ever just random chit-chat. Almost all of it acts like a Chekhov's gun and comes back in some way, shape, or form.
Hope you know. Step 3, draw a 2-page spread of cheese.
So for this one, when I do the hate video, I'm going to list how many 2-page spreads there are. But interestingly, Reiji did an interview when he was doing K manga. He said he intentionally pushed the 2-page spread to give people a reward for reading the manga. He actually actively went out of his way to draw these pages, not only to convey things of Chizuru's character, to convey a scene or a meaning, but also to reward the viewers and the readers for reading the manga. He actively went out of his way to reward the readers for reading the story by drawing the 2 pages. I'll pull them up later. Like another stream, I'll put up the K manga interview and I'll tell you about this thing. He says it's a staple, but if you've noticed, for the current manga, has he been doing that every single chapter, mind you? Nope. In fact, all of them seem kind of different in some way, shape, or form, and sometimes he doesn't even do them anymore, right? If you go through the manga, he doesn't do this nearly as much as you think. He does do these, yes. These are very common, but it's not as common as you think. He's also ignoring the fact that half of them are actually Kazuya. Half of these are Kazuya, half of these are Ruka. The 2-page spreads are not of just Chizuru, they're of all the characters in some way, shape, or form. They are an expression of something. Hell, sometimes it starts with like Umi and Chizuru like staring at, like I remember this one, Umi and Chizuru staring at each other, that's how it starts. And they're like separated by like an angle, and there's literally a thematic purpose to what you're seeing.
Chizuru. Now this one, I really hate, because these 2-page spreads are just like these really well done art-wise.
Is this a 2-page spread? Hold. Yeah, I think this one is. This one is.
Panels, like these panels actually look really good, but it's just for like.
How about for that one? He's so funny. He's so funny for this one. Before this one, there's another 2-page spread. Literally, there's two 2-page spreads here. One is this one that you're seeing right now. The other is one literally panning to the scenery and simply showing Chizuru's words. That's it. It's just a blank scenery where she says, I don't like him. And it pans to like an empty street. And then it pans to Chizuru, hidden in shadow, while everything behind her is illuminated. And she says, I don't not like him either. Literally 2 panels contrasting each other. He went out of his way to do a double 2-panel spread to convey this message. And he uses this example. Bruh.
Nothing, like they're not really important. She's not really.
I mean it. You're a great guy. One of the most important moments for the series. So, proceeds to tell Kazuya about her dead grandfather and how much he meant to her and how much Kazuya making this movie for her meant to her. Doesn't matter. Nope.
Really saying anything of importance. It's just like random dumb dialogue.
Let's eat. Oh, how about this one? Kazuya at Chizuru's work environment, feeling depressed and connected, and she's literally illuminating the fucking night for him. And her words are, let's eat. Let's connect together. Let's share in this food.
And just random events that happen. Like, it's just dumb.
This one. Chizuru literally glowing in the fucking night when he first meets her in this new outfit in this new time, literally contrasting and wearing this black outfit during the night, and yet she literally glows. When they first meet, and Kazuya has never seen her dressed like this before. And it's all black lace, it's different, it's an outfit that doesn't feel like the traditional Chizuru we know. This is actress Chizuru for the first time.
There's no reason why this needs to be 2 pages long. The only reason why they're 2 pages long.
This one. Wait a minute. When Chizuru tells him, I want to keep lying because I feel like it's wrong to tell my grandmother that I'm lying to her and before she fucking dies, and then we introduce this moral conundrum. God. I'm trying to finish this video as fast as possible so we can stop because I'm pretty sure my family wants to go to sleep at this point.
Is because the author wants to make you think, oh, look how pretty Chizuru is, look how pretty she is, isn't she pretty? And because he has nothing else to write for the chapter. Step 4 and 5 are the same, it's just setting up.
Hint at a major development in the next chapter. Add cliffhanger tagline. Okay, those are misdirects, almost always subversions. They're not actually major developments, they're literally misdirections to play into your expectations of, ooh, something big is gonna happen, because Reiji's actively messing with his readers sometimes, and then add a cliffhanger tagline. Okay, bitch, this last one, bitch. Go read Attack on Titan. Go read any manga that is serializing weekly. Attack on Titan wasn't serializing weekly, actually, but you get my point. Every single fucking time you end with a cliffhanger. Why would you write a story that does not end with a cliffhanger if you are literally serializing weekly? That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. What do you mean? Don't add a cliffhanger. The very fundamental nature is that the story is not complete. Therefore, you have to have a cliffhanger. That's fucking stupid.
Up a cliffhanger for the next chapter. Usually these cliffhangers are, oh, mommy's about to tell Grandma Chizuru about the relationship.
That's not what happened here. That's, oh shit, we have something great happening in this shot. Oh, speaking of which, oh look, it's a spread of not Chizuru. Almost like you just contradicted yourself, funny buddy. Mommy shows up here literally as the movie arc is concluding and we are reaching the peak height of happiness. Mommy shows up. Holy fuck. And the way it's framed is brilliant. You're seeing it through Kibei's perspective. You're slowly scrolling through and suddenly you get here and you see it from Kibei's POV and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? Right? And it's supposed to just make you come crashing the fuck down in contrast to actually the scene you're seeing, where it's like you're very happy, things are going great, and now you're crashing. That was the point of this. Not just, oh, she's going to tell Chizuru's grandma. No, this is mommy invading the happiness you've just experienced and literally robbing you of it, not telling Grandma Nagomi about this. This is literally mommy invading the private space. Nothing about this was telling us she's going to tell her right now. If she was, she wouldn't be this close to her. That doesn't make any sense, right? That doesn't make any sense. This is when mommy was like getting ready to be like, hey, look, I'm this close to your family. This is how much control I have. This is literally just misinterpreting the story.
Oh, Kazuya's about to confess. Oh, Ruka.
Almost every time Kazuya. Okay. Another thing I wanted to point out is like the thing where he says Kazuya confesses every other chapter, and then they pretend like they forgot. No. Kazuya confesses in indirect ways, and Chizuru's insecurity does not allow her to see his proper confessions because they are rental dating. That was the point. The point is that they're blinded by the current job that they're working and they don't see everything very clearly. And there's layers to each individual one. I just don't want to get into it right now because it's getting late.
Ruka's still dumb as shit. Like, it's just those kind of things.
Why the unneeded jab at Ruka? That wasn't necessary.
And of course, step 6 is repeat and
Here comes the money!
Here we go. Money talk.
that's basically each chapter of Rent a Girlfriend.
So that's false. I already just showed you how that's all false. But okay, cool.
It makes you want to get a lobotomy. The chapters go nowhere. And when it starts looking like it'll go somewhere, trust me, it doesn't. Every time when I read a chapter and it sets up that a confession is going to happen, one of these two things will happen. Only these two things. Either Kazuya pussies out, or someone interrupts in the middle of it.
Chizuru pussies out. That's funny. Chizuru is a coward sometimes. He is kind of correct on that. But no, Kazuya doesn't wuss out that much past that particular moment. Like he has moments where he's a coward, yes, but that doesn't happen. And then someone interrupts this. Okay, it's really funny that he shows this particular interruption because this particular interruption was intentionally placed by Reiji to fuck with people, because right after this, Kazuya confesses to Chizuru. She hears the confession. It's a true, complete confession, and then he gets interrupted anyway. Again, he literally fucks with you in this chapter. He interrupts them. They have a meaningful conversation. Kazuya confesses, and then he interrupts him again, and Kazuya thinks she didn't hear, but she fucking did. It's so funny. It is legitimately some of the funniest shit I have read in a while when I was reading this at the first time.
And it leads to nothing. What? You thought there was actually gonna be a confession? What did you think this was, a good manga? And
it's funny he says that because did he just show One Punch Man as a good manga? One Punch Man is like some of the most boring shit right now. I literally stopped reading One Punch Man because it's some of the most repetitive, boring shit I have seen in a while. But in contrast, what I was saying is that it's funny he talks about a confession because literally the whole point of this manga is that confessions are not how you get into a relationship. You don't just confess and magically get a fucking relationship. You actually have to work towards it. and you actually have to try and have meaningful dialogue and discussions and open up. And that's the point of why we are where we are right now in the current date. It's not about a confession, it's about actually discussing and talking with people.
And if you read the manga, you probably noticed I've been using a lot of recent chapters as evidence. That's because the last 50 chapters have been peak garbage. I have never seen a series so consistently shit. Usually there's like one or two things that could be pointed out that you like, even in a terrible series. But these 50 chapters have been nothing but just After the movie arc finished, this is when you realize how terrible the series is. The movie arc was already dragged out in and of itself, but at least it had it.
Fuck off. The movie arc has some of the best pacing in the manga. And even though the Paradise arc has very slow pacing, it is some of the best pacing in the manga too. No, I refuse to. No. I think the movie arc has some of the most traditional pacing, and it is a very consistent and to the point, and everything has meaning. It's literally structured like a film. The movie arc is structured like an actual straight up film. It literally paces itself like a film. It is to the point, everything is concise and necessary because they are literally on a timer. No, I completely disagree. Everything about the movie arc serves a purpose. It is paced perfectly. The other stories subvert traditional pacing. In particular, Paradise and Paradise/Hawaiians subverts pacing and just flips that idea of what pacing should be like on its head. And then you get to the cohabitation arc. The cohabitation arc does something brilliant. It combines the two. It combines subversion of pacing with more traditional pacing. So you'll have these arcs that have very traditional pacing while they're functioning, and they'll be like very meaningful and like short film like arcs. But then you'll also have untraditional pacing in the saga as a whole. It's very, very clever writing.
Its moments, and it was also sometimes entertaining at least. But man, these last 50 chapters are just frustrating. Literally nothing is happening. These chapters are the definition.
About any of this? Yeah, this in itself was kind of a subversion. It was kind of supposed to be kind of messing with you, and the point was that you assumed so much about Curry and where this could go and what it could mean, and it turns out it meant nothing bad. He just wanted to get to know Ruka better. He just wanted to be closer to Ruka, and that was it. He's just being a good friend. Like, you could view this scene in a lot of different ways. You could view it as like, oh no, Curry might find out and he might do something bad. Oh no, Curry's coming after Ruka or something and all that. No, it was just innocent. There's a beautiful kind of innocence to this whole thing with Curry, especially when you find out the intentional meaning of it later. It's actually kind of cute.
Of repetitive. Each chapter repeats the same beats of the average Rent-A-Girlfriend chapter from the meme. Fun fact, I dropped the series at chapter 174. It was one of those fake confession chapters, and at that chapter, I realized, oh, he's gonna keep doing this shit, huh? I just couldn't deal with it anymore, and the only reason I became up to date with it was for this video. And at the time of me recording, chapter 209 is out, and that chapter was also garbage. And we also had one of those fake confession chapters.
Wasn't that when... Oh, 205 is one of the most hated chapters because of the money thing that Chizuru brings up here. But I really like this chapter personally.
A few chapters ago. Kill me. I didn't really read it though. I kind of just skimmed through it. Probably
every time. 200% of the time.
Only reading like 3 bubbles of text each chapter. But I still understand what's going on fully. And to the people that think, that's not reading it, you don't get the current story. Keep in mind, I've read the prior 174 chapters fully, and I think I read enough of the recent chapters to understand. Like, I get it.
No. Considering I've spent almost 3 hours criticizing your video and pointing out how little you actually understood about the story. Well, okay, let's trim out like a good 30 minutes from that, because I do go on certain rants. So let's give him 2 hours. I spent 2 hours, not 3 hours, criticizing his video, just to give him some leeway. I'm pretty sure your video is 20 minutes, your video is 23 minutes. In 20 minutes, I criticized 2 hours worth of content out of what you just described. Clearly, you did not understand this manga.
This manga fucking sucks. I don't need to waste any more of my time. Even if there's a confession this arc, this manga still is terrible. A confession happening within the next 20 chapters, which I really doubt. It doesn't forgive the literal 100+ chapters of absolute agony we had to go through. I don't care anymore. I really don't. So season 2 has been confirmed, and I'm honestly hoping they will make it an anime original. Like legit, a Promised Neverland season 2 would be better than this shit. I'm serious too. Like,
Dude,
it would
fuck off.
legit be better than what we currently have. Like, they could make up anything to make the confession happen.
Also, just a side note, this is just a me personal pet peeve. This is just a personal me pet peeve. He does this thing that is signs of like bad video editing. I know this is unfair. So when you grab a clip, when you're editing, you have to grab the clip at the right frame. And what you'll notice when you're watching this is actually a great example.
Than what we currently have. Like,
did you see what just happened there? You saw a frame of Chizuru and then a frame to Kazuya. This to me is signs of either lazy or mediocre editing, or just like bad editing, because you didn't cut at the right frame, so you get this wrong frame first, and it's just it just looks bad in terms of pacing and structure and how you present it. That's actually happened multiple times throughout the video. It bothered me now for like I think like the 5th fucking time. So I just wanted to point it out. Sorry, I know this has nothing to do with the analysis. It's just me as an editor. It's just a fucking pet peeve.
Like, they could make up anything to make the confession happen. Like in season 2, Chizuru can be like, oh, I only like black guys. Then Kazuya's like, alright, bet. And then he goes to Dr. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. Ah, Perry the Platypus is what? Who the hell are you? And then Dr. Doofenshmirtz zaps him with the nigga-inator. And now Kazuya is a sexy black guy. Then he goes back to Chizuru and he's
Why is it Robert Downey Jr. painted black?
like,
Why are we referencing, what is it, Tropic Thunder, bro? What the fuck? What the fuck?
and then they had Blasian babies. The end.
This is why you don't listen to people who don't write. This is why you don't listen to people who don't write. Because they're fucking idiots.
Story I just made up is already better than the whole series. I'm kind of done talking about this, so let's just go to the conclusion. Piece of media could be is badly written in every way, shape, and form, and also being boring. Like, I personally think Serial Experiments Lane is an example of that. I think it has terrible writing, terrible characters, and on top of that, it's super.
Don't some people consider Serial Experiments Lane like actually a misunderstood masterpiece? I've never seen it, so I can't comment. I've never seen it, so I cannot comment. But I'm pretty sure there are people who consider this show like a misunderstood masterpiece. Like, and I don't mean that like, oh, there's some stupid fans. Like, I mean like there's actually genuine people who understand how to fucking write, and they think it's actually kind of good.
Boring. You just don't understand it. Shut the fuck up. But my thoughts on that anime is
I really hate people who dismiss something when you say, oh, you just don't understand it, and then they just dismiss that as an argument, because I literally just broke down how he doesn't understand it straight up, like literally straight up. He does not understand what the fuck he's talking about. I just broke that down of how he doesn't, but he dismisses that argument because he wants to be validated in what he believes. I think that kind of arrogance is actually reflective of how a lot of, I'm not going to say it's him, but it's reflective of how a lot of stupid people feel very confident in their ideas, even if they're wrong. A lot of people who are like not smart, actually stupid, believe that they are correct in what they believe, and they will dismiss any criticism to just say, I am right. This is literally what's happening with like a lot of like modern day arguments with people, where you're not talking to people, you're talking to these arguments that they believe are right, and they refuse to think they're wrong, right? And it's like, I always like question myself and wonder to myself, am I wrong? Am I stupid? If I actually find out I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Like I'll just say it. And this is why I don't want to say it's him. I don't want to say that this is how this person is. I don't want to call him stupid. I don't think that's fair because I don't know him. I just know this is a common thing that happens. And this is something that he's kind of doing here, where he's dismissing arguments against him because he wants to feel, because he thinks he's right, even though he admits to skimming the manga, which, by the way, a lot of these people do. He admits to skimming the manga after 174 chapters, granted. And then he clearly doesn't remember things, which implies he didn't reread the story to make sure what he's saying is actually factually correct. And then to top it off, his hatred is clearly based on his own biases and belief systems. So, in conclusion, he's kind of talking out of his ass.
It's another video for another day, but yeah, I used to think being badly written and excruciatingly boring is the worst thing a piece of entertainment could be.
I think it's just, no, the worst thing an entertainment can be is boring. Not badly written. Badly written can be engaging. There's a lot of badly written stories that are very engaging. But the worst thing a story can be is boring. Not frustrating, boring. Because a frustrating story, you're still reading it. This is a very stupid argument because for a very simple reason, Succession is one of those stories. It's a TV show. You can watch it on HBO Max. I hate every single character in that show without exception. Without fucking exception. It is a frustrating show to watch. It is cringe. It is weird. It is annoying. And I hate every fucking character. It is an amazingly written show. Okay? And I could not watch that show without playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, the new one. I needed to play Resident Evil 4 Remake to watch that show. It was that fucking frustrating. You cannot make the argument something is frustrating, that's the worst thing it can be. No, like I think you have to question, why is it frustrating? And I think he doesn't really do that. He just picks the easy answers. He picks the answers that are most comfortable and easy for him to understand. And I just don't agree with this.
Until I read Rent a Girlfriend, where it's terribly written, but it's not boring. It just pisses you off on like...
It'll only piss you off if what you're looking for, which, by the way, you should have picked up by like chapter 100, this isn't the type of manga you're expecting it. So why are you still looking for these patterns 100 chapters in, by the way? Just pointing that out to you. Why are you still looking for these patterns 100 chapters in? It feels like this person went to Reddit after, and then all these Reddit people said this stuff, and he felt validated in what he believed, and he just kind of said what they said. Or he believes this. I'm not going to pretend like I know what he actually thinks. But yeah, no, I question you if 100 chapters in, you're still looking for these patterns and you're still falling for it, and the author's kind of just straight up making fun of you by like chapter 174. Like when he read that and he thought it was bad, the author's straight up making fun of you by that point. If you're still looking for those patterns, that's actually fucking impressive. And it's so funny that people like get pissed at like the Paradise arc, because the Paradise arc is actively fucking with you.
How something could be so shit for so long and continue to get worse. This is a new level of garbage. This series is terrible. I'm never gonna read it again.
It's really funny that he's angry and upset about this series, and almost all of this is just either a misunderstanding or he's literally factually incorrect. just saying, he hates the series so much and he's literally just fucking wrong or just misunderstanding what's happening.
And I don't have the energy to yell about it anymore.
Great, I'm very tired of listening to you.
You see, it's just sad because there's like other manga that have the same premise kind of like this, like the will they won't they kind of thing, like Uzaki-chan, Nagatoro.
This motherfucker. Nope.
Kage-sama.
You guys know how I feel about Kaguya-sama.
But in those mangas, they've already done their confession things already. Like, I know that's spoilers, but like, no
Yeah,
shit that's
and these
gonna
are
happen.
extremely simple characters. Literally, their life is like Pepe Easy BB. Like, dude, they don't have trauma. They don't have conflict. There's nothing going on. Like Uzaki-chan, I'll even say it. Kaguya-sama is better written because at least the characters actually have some sort of conflict to the idea of confessing and being together. Whereas here it's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool, that's fine, I guess we'll just get together, even though you clearly like each other the entire story, and there's literally nothing wrong with you being with each other. This is just this dude is like weird about the girl being friends with him. Nagatoro, at least there's a bit of a conflict to them confessing, but then they turn it into this like soap opera thing where it's like, oh, I gotta succeed for her to like me, and it's like, shut the fuck up, you stupid high schoolers, and just confess, you stupid fucking idiots. And then they confess and they get together, and that's how it fucking ends. Like, because they always end like this, except for Ozaki-chan. I'll give him credit there. They actually like get together and they're still together and it's still going. I'll give them credit there, but these aren't like complex or super interesting characters. Nagatoro has some interesting writing in there, but it's not nearly as complex or interesting as like the story. And then Kaguya-sama does have actual conflict in there for the characters, but it ends up being like messy drama and not in a good way because after they confess and they have that whole movie thing, I only saw the movie version and it just felt messy and stupid and kind of meh, and I didn't care for it. And only the ending of the film really clicked with me with Kaguya-sama.
Happen eventually, but nope, not Rent a Girlfriend. Nah, they don't progress this story for hundreds.
I wish they would do something other than just fucking scrolling through pictures or through pages. It's so lazy.
Of
Sorry, it's
chapters.
literally this. Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's just my editor. That's just my editor brain, just being annoyed.
I'm kind of rambling on this point.
Yeah.
I'm not even reading the script. It's just I'm just done
He
with
had a
this.
script. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's the video. That's it.
Yeah, I do like the creativity in Kaguya-sama. Like the rap episode was kind of cool. It's very visually appealing. I still to this day remember the Resident Evil reference from season 3. That shit was awesome. I do like Kaguya-sama, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's like the greatest thing to grace heaven, and I did have a slight dislike of the series because the writing isn't that great, and people glaze the shit out of the writing when it's actually just kind of okay.
Like and subscribe if
Okay.
you.
That's the video. We've made it through one video in 3 fucking hours. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry. It should not have been that long. To be fair, the other ones aren't as bad. The only one I will not watch with you guys, I don't think, is where is it? This one, the hour and 24 minute. Oh man. Oh man. This one is no. No, that one's not. No. I think the only one we could maybe watch together after this is the Mother's Basement video. I think that one we could maybe watch after this, the Mother's Basement video, because that one's also like 24-ish minutes. The others aren't so bad. I can watch them on my own. And some of them aren't even like videos like this one and this one. These are like the paintbrush videos of the openings, and they're very like, I more so want to use these as reference to how gross they are because these are very, very gross. These are extremely gross because of how they depict Chizuru and Kazuya. In particular, it plays into that thing I was explaining earlier with the element of misogyny, where like they depict Chizuru as a gold digger and they depict Kazuya as a simp and all that stuff. Is just it's just very, very gross. Okay, I'm a little behind on chat. I'm gonna read chat really quick. That's why I opened up all the situations with her. At this point, Minnie could be better friend than Kibe for Kazuya. Yes, Minnie is a better friend than Kibe. Zuko was never a bad guy, but everything he was compassionate and caring was attested by his father. Yeah, Minnie is a better friend than Kibe. I like filler. Rag has no filler. J.R.R. Tolkien works have more filler. I mean, filler is good. Filler is there to develop characters. I think filler is very misunderstood because of cases like Naruto, where it's just stuff you don't fucking care about being thrown in your face. But filler is very good in storytelling. It's just stuff like bottle episodes aren't great, where they're just completely disconnected. That's actually what you get with stuff like Naruto. It's a bottle episode that's completely disconnected from the current plot. We all need Minnie in our lives. She's so adorable. I think what Reishi put in double pages, that's mostly important things in each chapter. Yes. How about instead of wasting your time in a series you hate, you just how about this? Find a different series. That's not a completely valid argument. When someone is using criticism. That works if it's like someone still obsessing over it. That's a valid argument when someone is still obsessing over a story and they won't shut up about it. There's a lot of people on Twitter who are like this, who are like, "Oh, just keep following it because I hate it so much," or shit like that. Those people you can use that kind of argument against because those people are just farming. But this isn't a valid argument against this. This is just like you're technically right, but it's not like a fair argument, you know. As obligatory tool for weekly mangas almost. Chizuru aura farming the 2-page spreads. I love that. Maybe they prefer pacing like the rush short shoddy like quintuplets. I really quintuplets like I kind of stopped caring about it and I don't remember why. Hello, bro. How good news today? Next story, relationship date Chizuru and Kazuya. I don't know what you mean. Dude got dismantled. Thanks. My best friend hated Rent a Girlfriend in the past. Now he thinks it's mid thanks to fate. It's mid. Well, that's better than bad. A win is a win in my book. Mid isn't trash. It's average and comes down to different opinions. Damn. Yeah, there is one person in the comments section who I always have to argue with about like how Kazuya is a great character and the manga is good. But he keeps like he says he doesn't like the manga, but he watches me for it. And I'm like, thanks, but damn. He could have turned Kazuya into a Michael B. Jordan. Why did they choose a Robert Downey Jr.? Because it's kind of, well, I don't know. I don't know. Specifically because Robert Downey Jr. is a white guy dressed as a black man. That's why I think that's the joke. He didn't actually turn into a black guy. He turned into a white guy dressed as a black man. That's what he is. That's why it's funny. I think the lane is remembered because the OP song. I have never watched it, so I don't know. I bet some of these people don't even take notes about the manga in order to make a good review or analysis. They don't. Correct. He literally says he didn't. Shit like Uzaki and Nagatoro is like potato chips. The rap episode of Kaguya-sama is peak. Okay, I pretty much caught up. To be fair, we made you go off on a lot of tangents. True. That's why I took off an hour when I was criticizing. Don't apologize. These long streams have amazing replay value and it's overall entertaining. I'll probably definitely reference this stream when making the video. Don't worry, we love you. We love that you take your time and analyze things. By the way, would you consider making a video about your top 10 best rag manga chapters? Eventually, sure. Eventually, I can do that. That does sound kind of fun. I don't mind that. I don't know. God, I would have to think about that. I don't know. I don't know. And I think it would be pretty divisive too. Like, to be fair, this entire series is divisive. But yeah, okay. It's a little late. I would actually keep streaming. I don't mind, but I do live with other people here, so I don't want to. I don't like they're being very considerate of me right now, and it's getting late, so I don't want to keep streaming and bothering them. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sitting through this entire thing with me. I really, really appreciate it. It was actually quite fun. Let me do this. Actually, maybe I'll keep this and I'll change that. There we go. Yeah, I'll keep that for that thing we just saw earlier, that was when we streamed the Shiyunji family. I'm actually gonna keep that because I'm gonna stream the Rent a Girlfriend anime when it comes out, so we can watch it together. And you guys can see my reaction, how I feel about season 4. But yeah, okay, that was a fun video. I might do this again for the Mother's Basement video. This has given me some motivation to watch some of these other ones. It wasn't nearly as frustrating as I thought. It also let me talk a lot about how I felt. I can definitely rewatch this stream and take some notes and keep track of this stuff in the future. But yes, thank you guys for watching. There will not be a stream tomorrow. I will be streaming on Tuesday when the chapter comes out. Tomorrow, I might take the time to do some editing for chapter 364 because I have a video I really want to put out for that. I probably won't finish, but yeah, that's it. Okay, so yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy this. I hope it was fun. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thank you for talking this entire time in the chat. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy it when there's people talking in the chat. It makes streaming a lot easier, that's for sure. So thank you again. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, let's mosey. And in my time, have a good night. Have a good morning wherever you live. Just enjoy your time. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Take care.